nicely.
Do you want to test it beforehand, or you just?
I've done this before.
You've done this, yeah? Not your first rodeo.
No, well, so I sat out here. Do you know Jacob Dennis?
No.
He's actually from Hollywood originally. He's Guy Ben-Hanan's buddy, and he came over.
From Miami Beach, we don't associate with.
It's true with Hollywood. It's true you don't.
Hollywood or NMB, we were very, and at Miami Beach, you're very elitist.
I feel like NMB was a little bit more acceptable. I feel like Jason Brody, Josh Brody, like they made their way to the Miami Beach, the Miami scene. You know, like they were in North
I grew up going to NMB way more. I mean, Hollywood, I was like twice.
Hollywood's far. I mean, it's like the equivalent of like going like yeah.
And at the time, it wasn't even more. I mean, it wasn't developed. It wasn't like there was. It wasn't like there was. By the way, hey, thanks. Yeah.
Dude, I'm so happy we're doing this.
Yeah, look, we made it happen.
Okay, yeah. So
you stopped asking me. I saw you.
What?
You stopped asking at one point. You're just like, oh, whatever.
I didn't want to push you.
I know,
but
I
didn't want to do it.
How many times are you gonna ask someone? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, you know, I just knew that it'd be fun. I knew that it'd be fun. I knew we'd have a good time. That's why I wanted to push for it.
Yes, I like. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Have you done it before?
Yeah, I've done a couple.
Yeah.
One with my ma.
Okay.
But it never. I mean, it was just for fun.
What was the context? How'd it happen?
My brother. What?
How'd it happen? What was the context?
No, she was just like. I think she was like, learning about podcasts, and I was just like, let's like we talk a lot. Like let's record what we say, and it was fun. It just we had nowhere to put it. It wasn't like we did it with the intent of like doing another or anything.
I feel like I would love to have a podcast with my mom, and she would never do it. And I don't even know that I necessarily want the people. I never even asked her.
You should do one. You should do one because with your parents, I feel like it's a cool dynamic. No,
it's a cool dynamic, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to like put that out there. You know, like
to let that kind of stuff out into the ether.
I officially got my students came over to me and like we found your podcast, and I'm so like funny. No, I'm like I don't know if I'm ready to have you guys listen to that yet. You know,
because
talk about smoking unfiltered. I talk about like. And like, there's a dynamic that I think is appropriate teacher-student relationship. You know, that's
so. I know someone else who's a teacher. Again, I'm not gonna say their name, but they have that same issue, which is like they live. It's not hypocritical. It's just when you're in a position where someone is emulating, and your students really aren't at a place where they can kind of like regulate the information.
They're not discerning with it.
Yeah, and they're not understanding the nuance of how you got there. So if you're like, I don't know, if you're in a really yeshivish environment, if you're listening to music where they're like, there's women singing, how does someone quantify that if like they hear their rabbi is listening to, you know?
Yeah.
So you'd have to like have a sit down conversation with like 35 students every year.
I know.
To
provide the context as to like, oh, by the way, you know, this is who I am and like this is what I do. Totally. So that's why. But I did tell them that. I was like, listen. I was like, it's out there, so you can do whatever you want. You know, like you guys are big boys and do whatever you want. I can't tell you what to do. I was like, but I really would prefer that you wait till I'm not your teacher anymore for you to listen. And I was like, not for any. I was like, I'm not because I'm hiding anything from you guys, but because there's just certain dynamics that I think that are healthy and certain that are unhealthy. And I think that you know, like the podcast is an insight into my life that would be crossing the line for my students. I think. To be 15 and not necessarily prepared to like we said, hear that I'm not the ultra orthodox. You know, I'm the English teacher in an ultra orthodox high school. You know, like
is that exactly?
You know, I mean, it's weird.
I was just saying an example. I wasn't trying to make it
but it's
specific.
Totally,
I was just that's
but that's totally what it is. It's totally
what it is.
Yeah. And then and then I always find it weird when other people that I know that like I didn't tell the podcast about come up to me and be like, oh, I heard you do this, or I just was like,
that's cool.
A couple of people in the community came up to me this past week and they're like, I want to be on it, or I heard it, and I was like blown away by the fact that like these are people I haven't really had much to do with at all. You know, I don't even know where it came from, but I prefer strangers know this stuff about me than like people that I know that I haven't like opened myself up to like that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the. Yeah, I mean that is the audience. You're trying to like.
Yeah.
I think also maybe it's a Jewish thing, maybe it's not, but there is something to like I don't know, or maybe it's just me, but like your personal life is more personal than not. So like I was never someone who like posted every single thing they were making online.
Never.
And it's not that I'm ashamed. It's nothing to do with
Just
shame.
private or not.
It's just it's just like for what purpose? Like to what end are you involved in this thought? So so it's like for sure as a Jew you're almost much more comfortable with strangers knowing than like people in
people in your backyard.
Even though it shows that it's a good thing that people are coming up to
and
and
saying
being
that they're
like,
listening.
"Yo, really cool. We're listening. We want to be on."
Yeah. What other one did you do? So you did it with your mom. How'd that go? How did the conversation go with your mom?
It went well. It was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Was it short? Was it long?
We probably talked for like 45 minutes.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, we talk, but
yeah, of course.
When there's obviously when you're on camera, you're filmed. You're not so.
Yeah, the best episodes I've done is when we've forgotten that we were recording. And you're getting into it and you're having a good time. And
I meant to tell you before because I obviously knew about your podcast. You told me I was speaking Kiwi. So yesterday I was on Spotify and it came up because it's like in the recent.
Oh no way!
So I clicked it and I listened to one of the recent ones that you did, and I thought it was very cool. You're doing them by yourself too.
That's so
wild.
hard.
That's like a Bill Burr level talent.
It's really hard to do.
Have a monologue. Yeah,
it's fun. Most of the time, I feel like at best iffy about it. But like I put it out there because I have to.
Why the hell not? Yeah.
Because I have to. Because I think that the way that I'm kind of looking at it is that it's going to build slowly and it's going to take time, and and I don't think that anyone's necessarily going to go back. I don't even think they need to go back and listen to things from the beginning, right? It's not a story. It's not anything coherent. There's no narrative. It's just you pick up whatever you think is interesting and you put down whatever you think is interesting. That's why I try to get like a variety of people. Like I was doing end of year, just like going through and like just seeing what I did.
Yeah.
And I was looking just at the different occupations, like the different jobs of the people that I've spoken to, and I spoke to like 30 different people on the podcast, and like I don't know if more than like 2 or 3 of them did the same thing at any point. Like I didn't have more than 2 accountants. Cool. I didn't have any more than like 1 lawyer. I didn't have any more than like 1 salesman.
That's a hard thing to find in a Jewish community.
It's crazy, yeah. No, by the way, so I found that the Jewish community, you find a lot of young guys that are doing their own thing.
I guess, a lot.
Hustling their own businesses. Like doing their own, like, oh, what are you doing? I found this really cool way to like, I mean, even the whole notion of what do you call it? What's the most classic Jewish business with high interest? No, the high interest rates. The loaning, the
cash advance.
Cash advance. Yeah, like that's like most people don't even know what that is. That's a big Jewish industry. Which gives us all the, which doesn't necessarily give us the best reputation, dude.
Yeah, it's always funny. Here, when like Jews are in the C+ customer service kind of industries.
Oh yeah,
it's like you're doing it, you're crushing it.
Yeah, but C+ customer service, dude. It's such a bad feeling.
One star on Google Maps kind of business.
Yeah. I hate to say that's a little too close to home, dude, because I work with my dad, and he runs his business like it belongs in the Arab Shuk. Like he runs his business like you come in.
These poor Americans, they're like, whoa.
they don't know what to do with. Like they don't know what to do with him.
That kind of attitude.
And everything. There's no. It's very unstructured. Which
your dad is really?
No, I mean he grew up in Miami Beach. He grew up on 44th and Pine Tree.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your dad's name?
Ashley Hirschman.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I was before my time, but
yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Then your mom definitely knows. Your mom absolutely knows.
Where do you go to?
Hebrew Academy.
Oh my God, she for sure knows.
Dude, definitely.
Yeah,
my dad is 55, I think, or 56.
Yeah, then I mean, it was around that time.
But he's the middle, so he has siblings, 10 years older than him and 10 years younger than him.
100%.
They definitely know one another.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, my family's been in Miami Beach since the 80s.
Wait, and then where? So
my grandfather, yeah.
So where did he move? So he moved away?
So when they were dating, he was dating my mom. My mom is from Fair Lawn, New Jersey, and
and he moved up there.
So he was living in Baruch. I think he was going to college in Baruch and working when they met, and I think so. Actually, I really know very little about my parents' like dating timeline, but I know that they were going back and forth to Florida, New York a lot, and then my mom promised when they got engaged that they'd move to Florida.
Oh no!
And
Like
they,
30 years later,
30 years
their
later,
kid
they're the
does it.
same house that they bought in Muncie. That was like their first
And
starter
she
house.
knew
It's
it
the
too.
exact same.
She
Yeah,
knew
dude. No
it.
question about it, man. No
Yeah.
question about it.
I got family who it was like the opposite. One tried to do that. This is like distant cousin,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But one tried to do that, and she was like, "Oh, okay. Well, my bags are packed. When are we moving back to Miami?" Like, well, we'll be. Oh yeah, but like, all right, let's book flights. Like, oh, all right, I booked a flight. Okay, I'm coming.
You have to make it
Yeah.
happen. You have to make it happen. My dad's
gotta
not.
push,
Yeah,
yeah.
my dad's not aggressive like that. He'd rather just.
Kind of chill. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd rather just go with it. He's like, you know what? I'll find something good here.
It's not bad. Listen, I'm from here, but I romanticize like for sure the weather. Like sitting right now,
This is amazing.
we're sitting out in
It's
really
it's
nice,
literally 55 degrees, dude.
yeah,
It's freaking
really
freezing.
nice weather.
Yeah.
And like, so I miss not having that. But every time I think about that, I just think about like when I was looking at law schools. I went to New York, and I was looking at like Cordoza and Brooklyn Law School,
Yeah.
and it was -10 with wind chill. And I was in Borough Park, and I went to a friend's house, and I got like pizza from Omnon's, and the pizza I slipped on ice,
Oh
and
no.
the pizza flipped over. It's like absolutely, and then I get to his house, like miserable. I like we're watching a movie, and I'm just like, this sucks. Everything's cold. This place is shit.
And where'd you end up going to law school?
University of Miami.
Oh, you
so
did?
that's the joke.
I
So
didn't even
then
know that.
So I come back down here, and I was like lukewarm about going to New York anyway, but like you want to change the scene and stuff. And then I come back down here, and it's like getting off the plane, just seeing a palm tree
Yeah.
is like I'm growing up. Oh my god! And then
Dude,
I go there, and there's a courtyard, and everyone's smiling, and I'm like, fuck that! I'm going and it was great. My grandfather went there. It was amazing. I loved it. Yeah.
I started to really feel like Florida as home when I sold my last house. When I sold the townhouse.
Yeah.
And is that way?
I think it's
I
that
don't know.
way.
Yeah, sure. And
It's that way.
and we had to leave, but I didn't. And like when we were forced to leave, I was like, I don't want to go. I really like this place. Like I really don't want to go. I really
Yeah,
like it.
you
And then
start to feel
I'd go
nice
for
about it.
walks or I'd go for jogs, and like I'd start looking at things with like the nostalgia glasses and like everything
Yeah.
looked like I was like.
The streets, yeah.
But then we left. We went to Orlando for a month. Then went to New York for a month or two, and in between, I was coming back to look at different houses.
Yeah.
And every time I'd come back, like I was just like it was just like a breath of fresh air. Like like that
Oh, yeah,
first step when like you leave this office after all day and you get that like, oh my god, it's so great.
Yeah.
And I got
it's
here and
nice.
I was like, this place, like
Oh.
I gotta stay, man. Like I love it
Yeah,
here.
so that resonates so. Oh my god, like fortunately, I'm not the kind of guy who, because some people grow up in places where they feel, whether it's their upbringing, whether it's the actual place, the environment, the culture, they feel like claustrophobic. They
Yeah.
gotta leave. They gotta
Yeah,
move. They gotta
sure.
they gotta get out of there. Like I never felt. Oh my god, this place. I felt very open
That's
space.
so
very,
interesting. Really?
I never felt in any way like. Yeah.
You had to escape. You never felt you had to
No,
escape.
I know.
Dude, I felt
no
that so
feeling of escape,
strongly.
yeah.
I felt that so. You know what? Were you typically comfortable with yourself and like what you were trying to accomplish with your life? Like, did you have
Yeah, I think so.
generally speaking, you had general paths of things you wanted to accomplish, and you went about just
Yes,
going about it?
for sure. Up until I always wanted to go to law school. I always kind of like had a plan in mind. It's funny. Right after law school, I was like, wait a second, like the diagram ended here.
Yeah, yeah. No. That's
Yeah,
right.
because like as a what was I when you think about what you want to do with your life, 15, 16, 17, 18, you don't think more than 5, 7 years ahead. So I'm like
can't.
at the end of law school, I'm like 24. I'm like shit, like I how could I possibly think further than this? Like this is where the master plan ended. Like what now?
Yeah.
But I knew obviously with you know what the actual next
So you
step
have
is.
right.
Yeah, settling down, building community, which are hard things to do and people take for granted. But
So what was your game plan after that? So how'd you go about that?
so I started dating. Fortunately it wasn't very difficult. It just kind of all fell into place. It wasn't.
I think that's why you probably didn't have that
Yeah.
feeling because
No,
I never knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And because I never knew what I wanted to do, I didn't have anything to kind of work towards, and I wanted to try to figure out what it was that I wanted to do.
Wanted to, yeah.
And I think that I knew I didn't want what I had while I was there.
While you're
Like
where?
while I was at, like, let's say, like at my parents'
Let's
house,
say,
or
okay,
in Muncie,
yeah,
or in
wherever,
even the greater New York area.
yeah,
Like I didn't
that
want to.
area.
I lived in the Upper West Side for a little bit. And I spent years going there every weekend. Because when I was in college, when I was in Binghamton, it's about 2.5 hours from New York, and I graduated a semester later than most of my friends. So that last semester, I had a girlfriend throughout college for like 2 years. We broke up my last semester.
Yeah.
It was a long time.
Yeah.
And
everything's relative, but it's a good
yeah,
amount of time.
yeah, it is. It's funny because it was literally almost my entire college. Like from the first month that I transferred into school, like a month after I transferred, we started dating. And we broke up like 3 months before I graduated. So like,
wow,
literally the entire block of my life was college. Was associated with that relationship.
That's wild. Yeah.
But I'll go to most of my friends weren't in Binghamton anymore. I didn't have my girlfriend in Binghamton either. So I'd go to the Manhattan. I'd go to the Upper West Side of Manhattan, 2-3 weekends a month. And I did that subsequently for years. And have you ever spent time? Did you ever spend the weekend there on the Upper West Side?
So only a couple weekends, but my brother was living there, and so I'd go.
And what was your experience?
It was kind of funny because I wasn't there to like
to live.
Yeah, no,
I
was there. Yeah, I was seeing him. I was drinking with him. Like, I was going to bars with him.
It's fun.
It's a lot of fun. I wasn't like in search of a vibe. I guess I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, you're just visiting your brother,
hanging out and spending time with him.
Yeah,
but it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of like all the guys in his apartment. Everyone was. I mean, maybe
was he single at this point?
Where you're going? Yeah. I don't know if this is where you're going with the question, but it happens to be. I noticed a lot of people were like focused on like. They're single. They know they're single, and like we're going to this group and this group, and everything was about that. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't heading specifically. I wasn't heading specifically towards there.
It wasn't like a big.
Yeah. I mean, there's an enormous rush because there's just a never-ending amount of people to like meet and like a never-ending amount of things to do or parties to hit or bars to go to where you'll be sure to find a lot of people, and like
that's a cool thing.
It's a very, very cool thing. I don't know how conducive of an environment it is to encourage growing up though, and like
absolutely
to encourage maturity.
Yeah.
And I burned out of that. I'm not going to say quickly because it did take like a couple of years, where...
Yeah, burned out quickly after 15 years.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
After three different apartments.
Oh,
like
my God.
Guys that are like, it's like New York wasn't for me. Bro, you lived there for 30 years and moved here.
Yeah.
When you're like toward retirement, like it was for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to someone about this, someone that moved to our community from New York. And he came over to do some work in my house, and he was living in Brooklyn his entire life. He's probably in his 40s, right? And I was like, "What do you think of life down here?" He's been here for like a year and a half. He's like, I miss being like swept up in everything, And he goes, I find myself having like too much time. I don't know what to do with myself. Like the pace of the way that things move is just a lot slower.
Far slower. Yeah.
And I thought about, I think about that a lot because I've heard that sentiment repeated pretty frequently, from different people. And I think that what I've noticed is that the people that like it down here are the people that have things that they want to build that they use their free time for, right? And the people that like New York like to get swept. This isn't a rule, but a generality that what people like about it is getting swept up, so they don't have to like think about what am I going to do with my free time? What do I do with my hobbies? Like, what do I do outside of my job? What do I do outside of my?
You're in the moment. It's like almost like a childlike. It's almost like a childlike wonder when you're in the moment.
Yeah.
I think like sports. I think things that are where you're like you're truly not thinking about the past or future. You're truly, it's not like most experiences you have. Your mind wanders to all the different responsibilities. Like if I imagine, and if there were, obviously I'd go to New York for weekends and stuff, but like to have just weeks, months, or years of this unlimited exposure, unlimited opportunity
Stimulants.
For all these different. Yeah, that's a wild thing.
It is, dude, and it's just like the second you wake up to the second you go to bed, like everyone's close together. You hear your neighbors in your apartment. And by the way, this isn't a bad thing. Like
No, I was gonna say
people
it's not.
like it. It's
And
exciting. It's
it
fun. It's
creates a
cool.
lot of character. There's so much.
But I can't
Yeah.
live there, you know. But like that was like I was very focused. It's funny. I associated productivity when I was younger, as in I guess early 20s. Now I'm in my late 20s. I would associate early to mid 20s. I associated productivity with how much I was moving and doing. Like what I do this week, where did I go, how many things did I do, how many people did I see, what I do. Like that was considered
You have to
like
quantify it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That was considered like productive. And if I didn't do things for a week or for 2 weeks, or I didn't, like socialize, or whatever, be like, what am I doing with myself? And like, I'd go crazy and like, I have to do something. I need to travel. I need to do something. I need to go somewhere. And now I feel like and now I'm more building things that actually require for me to be put. Right, like
Yeah.
my relationships,
Yeah.
like my home, like this podcast, like work, like writing, like
Things that take
music,
time, that
like these
grow,
things. Yeah,
that-
like if
yeah.
I'm out of my groove, I'm not podcasting. I'm not practicing guitar. I'm not writing. I'm not trying
Yeah.
trying to work on my poetry. I'm not doing any of this stuff. I'm just running around. I'm like, what do I want this
Yeah.
for? I don't want this. I was just in New York.
And the
Yeah.
problem is, it's like, it's kind of similar to. Problem is, it's not. The problem is, it's not a bad thing.
Mm-mm.
So like, if it was a bad thing, if it's like smoking cigarettes, it's like it's a like that's a
It's just not good for you.
yeah,
Period.
like that's not big. It's like such an easy decision,
Mhm.
but where it gets complicated is where like something is good for you in moderation, where something isn't bad depending on who you are, your character type. I'm sure there's someone out there who they need. It's like I think of what's it, Bill Maher.
Yeah.
He's self-admitted. I don't think he's a narcissist. I think he's and not in a bad way. I think right people in
Do you listen to
power.
the show a lot?
What?
Do you listen to Bill Maher's show a lot?
Yeah, I like it.
You're a
I
big
think
fan?
I mean, not a big fan. I
I mean, I don't have
love what he-
I don't
yeah,
have an
love what
opinion.
he says.
I don't listen. I don't have an opinion, so I'm not asking that in like a
No,
challenging way. I'm just curious.
I know everything's politicized these days.
I know. Seriously,
You
you're
like
afraid to
something,
say it.
yeah.
Like, really.
No, I think he's so into himself that he can say whatever he wants because he like, and also he doesn't have a family, and he says it. He'll say
Yeah.
he doesn't need it, he doesn't want it. He loves doing what he does for himself, and he loves that. And it's like different from me, but then I also have to like realize not everyone's the same. Like that
So
really does
it's
work
such
for
an
that
important
guy.
realization.
Yeah,
It's
that's
such an important realization.
and it's yeah. I think you can get swept up in thinking everyone's the same because I think in our world,
We're always comparing each other to
yeah,
ourselves, to one another.
yeah. I think everyone's just constantly kind of measuring up to the next guy, and I'm not saying like it's like the most liberal. It's like
Yeah,
hey,
it's not.
it's like hey man, there's no. I'm not saying there's not healthy competition, healthy growth. I'm not saying that like community is bad. I just think yeah, there's yeah.
Yeah, I think that in order to achieve greatness in a particular thing, it generally comes with sacrifice.
Yeah.
And the question is, are you willing to sacrifice the other things to be great in what it is you want to
And
do,
it's
right?
bold. I think when this guy sacrificed, he got on TV, he kept his show. Do you know how many people climbed, sabotaged, crawled
Yeah.
to get that guy's
Manipulated,
fucking show?
killed,
They
did
would
whatever
have
they needed to
killed
do.
their mother
Yeah. For Bill
a
Maher's career.
chance
Yeah.
to get that something like that. Like the level of hubris or Dana White. Like this guy, you were talking about it when UFC a couple weeks ago. We were saying like this guy, like the amount he was talking about on his show, the amount of people that were trying to sabotage his thing. He bought the UFC, and then like
And then it
the
had
former
nothing
owner
to it.
crashed.
Yeah.
All of
No value, no asset.
Yeah, the IP was all sold,
Mm-hmm.
and he had to like this guy had to the amount this guy had to do, and you want this guy, and you want to go to this guy, and like he's created an entertainment industry in the billions, the mega thing, and you want to say like, hey man, like
He turned UFC into one of the more popular
you weren't
sports.
a nice guy, like you yelled at too many people, like I think it's not nice to yell, but like I can't
Yeah.
I can't
Totally. But
Yeah.
every character is like that.
Yeah.
Elon's like that. Steve Jobs
Yeah.
was like that. Like it's what it takes to. I used to. When I turned 25, it's so funny. I used to compare myself to my heroes, And for years, my heroes were Springsteen and Dylan, like two enormous heroes of mine.
It's cool.
And yeah, by the way, this new movie with Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy
Timothy
Chalamet. I saw
Chalamet.
it last night.
Yeah.
Chalamet.
Chalamet.
It was great because she did it
She
great.
killed it, by the way.
committed,
Nikki
but
Glaser
then
was
it
amazing.
was like dessert on the cake or whatever, icing on the cake.
Did you see
when it
Yes,
turned
when
to
Adam
him and he
Sandler
did
did
it,
it.
it's
Yes,
like
yes. Dude,
yeah.
did you see the list of? She released the jokes that got scrapped that
Oh,
she
I
was
didn't
gonna
see.
say.
Yeah, she did it
She's
as
out of
good as she
control. She's
could,
awesome.
considering it was a liberal environment.
Did
Like,
you? Yes, but did you watch Torching 2024 yet,
no.
dude?
Oh, she.
Torching 2024. It makes you think that Netflix put the nail in the woke coffin. Is how
Netflix?
that
Really?
Netflix let Sam Morril, Mark Norman, Jeff Ross,
Oh,
Hannah, what's her name? She was amazing. Hannah something. I can't believe I'm forgetting her name. Tim Dillon.
kick them to the curb.
They were making Holocaust jokes, black people jokes, fat people jokes, and like all of it was just like there on Netflix on 2024.
Yeah.
It was like you could tell that I bet that those comedians got together and said, Netflix, we will do this. We're having Final Cut. You know what Final Cut is?
The software from when I was a kid.
No. Final Cut is basically final say as to what the finished product is. So a lot of times,
you get to say what's in.
right?
Yeah.
So very few directors, for example, get final cut on a movie that they make. Tarantino gets final cut. Steven Spielberg gets final cut.
Guys that are
Scorsese,
yeah.
because they'll say, listen, our vision for what this movie's going to be cannot be touched. Or I'm not
Yeah.
making the movie with you, but
And there's demonstration that people love that style so
correct,
much
exactly.
that it's like the production company isn't really losing because they understand the calculated risk. They're like,
Yeah.
this is what people want.
Yeah,
It's not
they
some
see
kid.
the name Tarantino,
Yeah.
they're gonna watch it. I don't
Yeah,
care
it's
what they
such
think of it.
such a specific style. You have to let the guy.
But
cook.
when you're up and coming, let's say,
Yeah.
and I actually think that I don't think enough people consider this. If you're, let's say we're a 30-year-old director. What's his name? Remember the movie Whiplash? Did you watch that?
Of course.
Amazing movie,
Whiplash,
right?
of course. That
The
was
same
amazing.
director as La La Land and the same director, Damien Chazelle. And
Oh, wow, I didn't know he did La La
in
Land.
Babylon, which was a little bit of a miss, but whatever.
I didn't see it. Yeah.
That movie is whatever. But so he wrote La La Land first, and he couldn't get the budget from the studios to make it, so he had to make Whiplash. And once
It's so
he proves
funny.
himself,
Whiplash was just like the ex-girlfriend he got together with to make jealous or what.
yeah, exactly, to make the
Yeah.
studios jealous of La La Land, but it turned out to be this huge hit,
I
right?
liked La La Land.
I loved La La Land,
I
dude.
really liked it.
I
thought
really
it was
enjoyed it.
very emotionally intelligent, and I think it got a lot of hate because
It was artistic. It
was watched like
it was pompous.
it watched like a artsy movie.
Uh-huh.
It read like an artsy movie, but and I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not hand waving that way, but I thought there was a lot.
I thought the movie was a great movie.
Yeah.
I thought the movie was a great
Got swept
movie.
up
The
in
music
it.
was awesome. Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone had awesome chemistry.
Yeah, they were good. It was good. I love the music.
The music was
final-
awesome.
That final So I play piano and I would listen. There's a-
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
That is so good. And then there's one guy who was able to actually play that whole thing on piano. It's
No
like
way.
it's not a piano song.
Yeah.
It's very hard. So certain songs just don't
Translate.
Yeah.
I know that with guitar.
Yeah, exactly.
I try to play a song guitar and I'm like, it's Piano Man. I know how to play Piano Man and guitar.
Yeah,
It never
it's
sounds
like-
good on guitar.
just doesn't translate. But like this guy was able to make that whole 9-minute whatever epilogue translate, and it was
It's awesome.
ooh, damn,
Yeah,
it
dude.
was amazing.
There's a
Yeah.
great, you should look on YouTube. There's a guy named Kyle Landry. KY.
Dude, you know what's funny?
You know
I
who
was
he is?
trying to think of the name
Is it him?
of the guy who did it. I'm like, I grew up with this guy. He's a legend.
I grew up with
watching
him,
his shit.
dude.
And then you just say his name. Dude, I will like twice a year go back and like rewatch certain.
Have you
clips
listened to his
that are-
Canon and D, the improv one that he does?
I vaguely remember it.
Dude,
yeah.
I used to write every high school essay with that video on repeat, and it was so good, and I would get
Kyle
myself in
Landry.
his
Oh my
zone.
God. I even went recently because I was re-listening to not only the La La Land, but and he plays
Does a lot of
the
Disney stuff.
The La La Land conclusion in an airport, and
Okay.
it's just fun to like see him out because
Yeah.
it watches
The whole
he
audience.
plays it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it watches. It's fun and he plays it like authentically, like you can see he's just doing it on a regular piano, and
Yeah.
that's cool to me. Um, and then I went to like find him because, as you know, he hasn't posted anything in like 9 years. But he's still on Facebook. He's still like posting stuff. But he's obviously
so
doing
talented.
something else.
He's so talented.
I don't know how he didn't. Because I guess
He probably made a lot of money too. Because I know his videos
yeah,
all
maybe
got a lot of
he
hits.
started doing something else that must have made enough money. He was crushing it, especially at the time. Remember
Yeah,
when we were
dude.
kids?
Every week was a new
300,
song.
400K at the time back then. The young kids, your students don't remember.
No,
But
definitely
it
not,
used to
dude.
be back
Dude,
in
different
our
universe.
day, YouTube, if you got 200-300K views, that was like holy shit.
That was a big
him.
deal.
It's the main character. Like
Yeah, yeah.
but man, Kyle Laundrie, it's so funny. I've literally never met anyone else
That knows him, dude.
who knows
I
Kyle Laundrie.
loved him, dude. I've actually played him for my class while we were doing writing assignments before.
It's wild.
Like he's the man.
No,
he's so talented. I'll find him, dude. I'm gonna reach out to him. I'm gonna get him on the podcast, dude.
By the way,
I'm gonna get him on the
you should
podcast for
see-
sure.
That would be. I'm sure he would. Listen, yeah, you could say you were just.
Like I said, I'm a huge fan. I've gotten in
I'm
touch.
sure he'll. Yeah.
I've gotten in touch with a lot of people that have no business being in touch with. That just because I sent them an email and just said I love what you do, I loved your book, I love your music, I love your work, whatever it is, and they're like, "Hey man, it's nice to meet you, thank you," and I'm like, what?
Yeah, like who doesn't love when someone appreciates your
your feedback,
yeah.
definitely, and to hear, so that's what someone responded to me. I was trying to get a guy. So before this podcast, I wanted to start a different podcast just about the entertainment industry, called All Things Entertainment, and just talk to anyone, video editors, lights people, cameramen,
That's cool, yeah.
stuntmen, like everyone behind the scene, that what it takes to make. Because if you think about it, like I don't think people realize what it means. If let's say let's say a movie has $100 million budget. You know what you know what it takes to spend $100 million? Like, do you know what $100 million is?
Growing up, you'd go on Box Office Mojo to see how much a movie was made for.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's like a comedy, like slapstick comedy.
Yeah, $2 million.
There's like they film the whole thing in one house.
Yeah, for $150,000.
How is it $100 million to make this? Like,
yeah. Well, so there's either way. So it's either that they're incredibly low budget, or they're incredibly high budget. You don't understand.
You open another
Please.
all
Please, dude.
show.
We'll keep it going.
This guy cracked it open.
I wasn't sure where you were with your Corona over there.
No, I love beer. Oh my god,
dude! I just said it's so funny because I just said this story. I did a podcast earlier today. I just put out, and I said this story today, but I'm gonna say it again.
Dude! Wow! Look at that.
I'm so tired, dude.
You're like Joe Rogan. You're putting out 2 a day.
I love it. I really, really enjoy it. Like if I can make my living doing this, Actually, I might have. I hopefully have a couple of interviews from your alma mater over there at University of Miami coming up.
Nice.
But I've been reaching out to people. But what was I gonna say? Crap, lost my train of thought. The beer. Oh, the beer. So I was in New York this past weekend, and New York has probably 10, 15, 20 different breweries, like within a couple of hours of my parents' house.
The listeners obviously know at this point.
Yeah, I'm a huge craft beer.
You're a huge craft beer. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And so I go to all these breweries. I spend an unfathomable amount of money for like these like craft double IPAs and like barrel aged stouts and barley ones. Yeah. And then I went to a concert, a Grateful Dead cover band concert by myself.
Grateful Dead cover band.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Dude, it was amazing.
That's amazing.
I'll tell you about that experience in a minute.
Paradise by the Dashboard Lights. Is that
no?
I got the wrong one.
Meatloaf. You went to Grateful Dead cover band at Crazy Uncle Mike's.
I know. I did that. I did. And this is not the first time I've confused
Meatloaf with another band.
Meatloaf with
the Dead.
With Grateful Dead specifically.
Yeah, you know why? Because you've heard Grateful Dead at poker nights.
Yeah.
When I played at the poker night, crazy jamming.
No, and my aunt was growing up. She used to be a Deadhead.
Oh yeah.
So, or like young one of these like yeah, and
dude, everyone in the '80s was.
Yeah.
80s and 90s.
I don't know how much she committed to. I don't think she was like traveling with them, but I think she went to a bunch.
Yeah, you go to all the shows they go to. Yeah.
So I think growing up, they would play both play all the songs together. So because this is the first time I've
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean your associations are mixed
association
up?
between those two bands specifically.
Yeah, definitely. It's very funny. Well, yeah, I think for the Meatloaf albums, Clarence Clements from Bruce Springsteen's band, you know the song "Born to Run"?
Mm-hmm.
So the saxophone player from that record played saxophone
So cool.
for the Meatloaf record. I love a musician just go around like you keep it. You
So
track that
that's,
stuff.
by the way, another thing about New York. In Meretz Hashem, right? We all do well. I hope to, ideally, I want to be able to like go for a weekend or two,
Mhm.
because I love Broadway and I love music, and the opportunity for
Yeah.
entertainment is so, like, living here. If you want to like partake in the entertainment industry in any capacity, whatever, like to say, like, going to shows and all this stuff, you really struggle. Like, there's like 5 Broadway shows in Broward, 5 in Arsh every year
Yeah.
that travel from like the traveling Broadway shows. And then if you want to go to a concert, you're lucky if it comes. And even if Bill Burr comes, even if a great
Comedian
legend
comes,
comes, it's like, because they only have 2 shows here,
Yeah.
the ticket's like $200.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love Bill Burr, but I could watch him on TV. I don't need to spend $250-$300 to go
Yeah.
stand in the back of the
Yeah.
stadium,
Yeah.
some huge stadium, opposed to in New York, where if you want to listen to these guys, like,
You can find
your
them all over the
access
place.
is so, like, unconscionably broader.
Yeah, it's much more accessible for sure.
And so, like, that's what I would miss.
So what I've discovered, or what I think I've discovered, and you'll have to try it out yourself,
Sure.
is there's a lot more talent in this world than there is fame, right? And
Yeah.
if you look around at like local places where like local talented people perform, you'll be like blown away by how
I
much
don't want
talent
to go
there
hear
is.
some
So.
no name amazing singer, 15 out of 10 voice.
But
Then
it's
I gotta
so
go-
good and it's so much fun, and
I
you're
gotta
in
go
like a
listen
little
at a
bar and
coffee
you talk,
shop
but you could talk to
20
them
years
after.
before they're famous.
Yeah, but that's what
I'm
everything
just kidding.
was like. That's folklore.
I
Like,
know. I'm just
you know, that's where like it's so funny because I keep on going back and forth. I keep on hearing about like these mythical times
Yeah.
of like the Lower East Side when Bob Dylan and Springsteen and Woody Guthrie and Van Morrison and like all these guys, Simon and Garfunkel would just roll into like a 25 room, person room bar and just play a set and go home, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's so cool. But like also like if I was there at the time, like would I be going to like a no name Bob Dylan, like, in this disgusting little club?
Waste the
Like,
night on this
yeah,
guy.
exactly. Right. So I think that the people that discover these people are the people that are just looking for like fun talent
100%.
and then just like find them around,
No, look, when I was in New York, I went, and like I'm saying, I've been to New York over the years.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't live there, so my experiences are limited.
Pass me the letter,
I-
please.
yeah, I'd go for weekends, and I went to a place with my cousin and her husband and my wife, and we went to like it was so cool because it was this, again, no name band, but like they played specifically 2000s rock.
Nice.
And like that's what they liked.
That's
That was
fun.
their thing. And like it was so funny because there was like we literally joked that there was like an entourage. There was like people, like it felt like out of the 2000s.
Groupies. They're like groupies.
Yeah, and there was like groupies in the front, like, that know all the songs, and it was such an incredible experience. And then we leave the bar, and they're like, "Let's go. There's another bar that plays only show tunes."
Yeah.
and everyone sings along. Like, holy shit!
Yeah,
this place
it's so
is
cool, right?
a wild place.
What did you do for undergrad?
I was at Turo College South. I was in Miami Beach.
Oh, you're in Miami Beach.
Yeah, I was an English major. I
didn't know that, really.
Me and two.
There
was
what,
two
English
professors.
what? What was your
English literature.
Really? Literature?
Literature, but I'm gonna say literature because
I didn't know that, dude. Really?
No, yeah, it was literature.
Wow, that's cool. So was I.
It was like Shakespeare and
Yeah. Did you like Shakespeare?
Chaucer and all that stuff.
Did you like Shakespeare?
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I liked the Knight's Tale.
Did it give you a new appreciation for it? Like,
100%.
It did, right?
Yeah, it had to. I spent
because it turned it into a script instead of a boring book you had to read.
100. And it was like a. Also, so it was me and one other professor, Dr. Williams, and it was one other guy, and so it'd be us for like a 3.5 hour like
just the two of
sumo
you?
class, just me and one other dude.
No way.
Yeah, and he wrote me law school recommendation letter that was so amazing.
Oh yeah.
He was a real. I say was. He's not. He hasn't passed away. He just
Yeah,
he
he's not your
moved back
teacher
to
anymore.
Japan.
Yeah.
His
Oh,
wife was Japanese. So
his name is Williams,
Dr. Williams. Yeah.
and his wife's Japanese.
Yeah, his wife's Japanese. And he was such an interesting. I just haven't spoken with him in a while, but he at the time was such an interesting guy.
What
was I gonna
class was
say?
it? There's only two students in it though. That sounds. Oh, it's because Turo.
It was a small branch. It closed down. Turo at one point, Turo was trying to like do, um, campuses outside of their main campus, so
Yeah.
students that want different experiences
Could
so if
have
there's a can have it. So I think they had one in France. I considered going.
Really?
Yeah, but again, all of these were like very small. Ironically, the psychology track was like 35 kids.
Wow.
And that was like where the bulk of the guys are. The women had like 100 students, but so they had a literature department, but it was Dr. Herring, one woman, she was brilliant, then Dr. Williams,
Yeah.
who I had most of my classes with, and the class would be just us, just me and this.
It's so much fun, by the way. Aren't those the best classes? You learn so much.
It was so interesting. He was an interesting guy. We would talk about all these different. I loved reading growing up. My family reads a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not even the most prolific reader of my family, and I guess the average person might say read a lot. But and so I just loved talking to him. Most of it was just kind of talking. Mm-hmm. It would be about the work. I don't know, I love it. But you said you were an English major. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was a creative writing and literature major.
Whoa. So it was almost exclusively creative writing, or
it was essentially creative writing classes or literature prerequisites.
Okay.
Like I could have taken more literature classes, but I became I became a creative writing major because of one professor who I'm actually still in touch with every now and then.
But isn't that funny? It's what you like ends up being because the person teaching is passionate about it.
Yes.
Like in law school, I had the same thing where contracts it was just another topic, right?
Yeah.
But I thought I'd be interested in constitutional law, but that teacher was
that'd be cool.
Weird. And she was just like not engaging in the way that and then the contracts class was so good, so I ended up gravitating toward a topic I never cared about.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Like the person teaching it really does matter. So
yeah.
Wait, so what got you into what made you do that? Because that is, I think,
obscure.
Different. It's more obscure than.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I did it for a couple of reasons. I did it because I didn't there was a romantic level where I wanted to be a screenwriter.
Okay.
Coincidentally, I'm not a great screenwriter. I'm actually.
We learn our strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, definitely.
Like Ben Shapiro saying it, like this guy crushes it in every category. This guy applies himself to.
Who?
Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Like he tried to be a screenwriter.
Oh, did he?
I think. I mean, this guy writes 1,000 words a second.
Yeah,
I think one of those things was because he was in Hollywood. I think his mother was in the business. But
okay.
But I just think it didn't end up being his.
He ended up being really smart and being an incredible lawyer and writer and
being brilliant. Yeah. In like 99, whatever, and other things. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So so that was one. Number two was the teacher. Number three was because I transferred in with a year and a half of credit already. I had a year of credit from being in Israel, and then I went to community college for a semester before I went to Binghamton. I didn't get accepted right away.
You just kind of leapfrogged in.
So I transferred my credit. So I had a year. So I had a year and a half of credit. So I was able to apply to college not as a new graduate, but as a transfer student.
And that's easier.
And the transfer student process is much easier. Exactly.
I did the same. AA at Wolfson campus, Miami-Dade, and then
and then it's a great move, by the way. And it works. I found the community college. I learned so freaking much.
Very interesting, very fun. Yeah,
such incredible teachers, and because their emphasis was, it's going to be harder, so we're going to build you the foundations. And then when I got to Binghamton, they're like, "You're here. You don't have to learn anything because you got in. Congratulations!" Yeah. Like, but I came here to learn. Like I came here to like think, yeah.
It hit me with something.
Yeah, it hit me with something. Seriously. And I And so I was under pressure to pick a major because I had a year and a half of credit. If I didn't want to take more classes where the classes wouldn't count towards my major, then it would have been then it would have been a waste of time. So I had to pick a major quickly.
Oh, you had to choose.
Yeah. Right. Because I already had a year and a half of credit.
Before you leave the office.
Right. Exactly. Well, not before I leave the office, but like if I didn't want to take extra classes that wouldn't count for anything, then
course,
like
yeah.
what classes could everything count towards that I could just get done. And also, I'm not like I was scared of like economics and like accounting classes and
that's
stuff
another
like
thing.
that. I'm like, I don't want to do that
Like, I'm
shit.
a
Like,
numbers guy.
yeah, dude, like screw that.
Fuck
And
that. Or screw
and now I love learning science now. Like I listen to Huberman's podcast all the time, and like I take notes on it. Like
that goes back to the
learn.
teacher, like
Yeah, it
'cause
goes back to your
Huberman's-
teacher.
What Huberman is teaching at Huberman Lab is objectively should be some of the most boring shit anyone
Ever.
has ever heard. Like the the whatever the Ingrodine system, the oh my god, like all that stuff. But it's fascinating.
Yeah, because he turns it into something that's translatable into relevant life.
Yeah. No,
You don't
go
feel
back
like
to yeah. Well, they might not know, but we're in like the murder capital of the country.
Are we?
You're right. No, of course not.
Oh,
No.
I was
Joking because what sounded like a gunshot.
I was like, I know that Fort Lauderdale it doesn't have the greatest history.
I know it's not great. I didn't realize.
Yeah,
we're in a hot zone.
Yeah, it's a war zone. So I did that, and I also did like pride myself on being out of the box, and I tried to figure things out like through my own out of the box kind of way. So like for example, the business school has by far the best networking and connections when it comes to helping students get jobs.
Yeah.
Right? I was an English major. I wasn't getting hooked up with any opportunities for any because what I wanted to study English to get into entertainment, and I'm like, that's what I want. The skill, like what I bring to the table, is a knowledge of literature, a knowledge of writing, the ability to express myself, the ability to be creative, the ability to like come up with fun, unique, cool, new ideas, and apply that in hopefully a relevant, capacity within an
Yeah.
entertainment company. You couldn't get your foot in the door because you had an English degree. So I used to go to all the business school.
To like pretend you're.
And I used to put my resume in the business school folder.
That's so
And I
funny.
would go to meet these people that were applying, that were looking to interview, and give them my notebook. And like you'd see them like
That's a good move.
you'd see them close the notebook and like check the front to see like the school of management logo, and then they'd open it and see my English resume on there. And
They're like,
who are you, dude? What are you doing?
2,000 words on the existentialism of being a barista.
Yeah,
Like, what?
existentialism.
Like I see
Totally.
people come in every day. They're getting a little older. Like, what is this?
And then I had actually a friend of mine. It's so funny. A friend of mine growing up from Muncie, his older brother was one of these brilliant hippies. Like he was a computer graphic artist, and he was so smart. He was so brilliant, and he was like full on hippie mode, full on dropping LSD, shrooms all the time. Like
Listening, I'm interrupted. I'm realizing.
that you're getting covered in smoke.
No, just this chair that.
That chair's weird.
Yeah, I'm sitting in like a more rigid chair.
Than you need to be. Also, you could adjust the back on that chair.
That
if you
chair
want
does
to.
not adjust.
That
This
chair
wicker
sucks.
chair?
Yeah, no, that
Wicker
chair
chair hasn't. The only way it adjusts is if you break it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty much there, by the way. You see,
It's
people
already-
people trying to adjust it.
People try to adjust it.
Oh,
This is how you've been sitting the whole time.
yeah,
Shit.
dude, this is great, right?
Yeah, this is amazing.
But I tried. By the way, it didn't work, and then it worked a couple of times, and I got scared off by like the notion of a new job and like new responsibilities, right? Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have to do these new scary things at my own pace, and like and make it work my own way.
You can't throw yourself. You
And
can't be
put
thrown
myself
into it.
as opposed to like throw myself into what someone else's definition of like what a job or responsibilities are or is. I have a very difficult time with that. That's why most of the things I do by myself.
I was gonna say you do very. That's what I was gonna say because we've talked about it before as far as like our artistic attitudes in life. But it seems you tend to be on the more artistic side of things, but you're not like they're at your own pace. Like guitar, the podcast, these are very controlled artistic environments. Poetry.
My head's always in the clouds, but I know that in order to get there, I have to be disciplined. So like a part of me is like rooted firm enough to like.
No, you're not. I know. I understand.
Yeah. So this guy,
you're doing it yourself, but you have this. It's not like you're not disciplined. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So like I have all these romantic ideas, and like it's just a matter of time and discipline to make it happen and make it work. Like the podcast or like guitar. Like you know what? It may take me 20 years to be a truly great guitar player, but I got 20 years and it's free.
Yeah.
You know, like why not? Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
you know, I
It's
love the instrument and it's fun. And when I'm jamming and like I hit a rhythm and I'm like, whew,
Is
like
it something? Oh my
dude,
God.
that's like such a good feeling when like, I don't even know how to repeat it again. Like, I don't even know how to get back there again. I was like, what did I just do?
When you get it, or like so I got my brother Danny to start playing guitar when I was 18. I'd been playing piano for a little bit, but he started playing guitar. He immediately, because again, very disciplined. He's very disciplined. Very like when he wants to learn something, he's very autodidact in that sense.
Cool.
And
It's such a good trait to have, dude.
yeah, and he learned within a year. He's like finger picking a guitar, and he's getting these riffs and these like the general. He's like doing
Yeah, I
the
love
riff
that
for the
song.
general.
Wait,
And-
that's take a shower, shine your shoes.
Yeah,
Got no time to lose.
yeah,
Yeah, that's who's the band that sings that? Dispatch.
yeah.
Dispatch is the band.
So he's doing really cool stuff, and so I guess that's the
Yeah.
for guitar.
By the way, it
yeah.
drives me. It not only does it drive me crazy, it disheartens the hell out of me when I see people that are playing for so much less time than me and they're so good, and I'm like, fuck this instrument. I'm never doing this ever again, dude. Like,
it's like well, dude, who has that? One of these comedians. I think it was Bill Burr before he got married, before whatever. He was like, I'm 40. He's like, I'm 40 years old. I'm sitting in my apartment, and I'm like, fucking banging on drums like an ape.
he's right though.
And he's like, there's some kid, there's some like Asian kid that's just like 7 years old, like these drums are his instrument, like he's crushing it, and he's just like some loser, just like banging on.
So taking it full circle, right?
Yeah.
Because to the beginning of the conversation,
Sure.
right? I used to beat myself up that I wasn't as good as my heroes, right? And then I thought to myself, by the way, real quick, end of the story is that this guy, the other guy, ends up, so he's brilliant computer graphic artist. Like you go to the business, like you go to these meetings where all these interviews, all these companies are.
Yeah.
Everyone's wearing suits. Everyone has their resumes. This guy's walking around in a tie-dye tank top with huge sweatpants and barefoot, and he's walking around, and every single top company is drooling over this guy, and this guy got like this crazy high pay, and he just fully living like his own like hippie life. He's just so
best life
competent and so intelligent that everyone's like, let him be the way he is, and let's just reap the rewards of like what he brings to the table.
Yeah,
you know,
it's not that they let him do that; it's that he commands that.
Yeah, and he brings it to the table. So so I used to beat myself up that I wasn't achieving these kind of where we at. Nice, nice and easy.
How long do these usually go?
Hour and a half, 2 hours, hour and change. I mean, if you have to go, you have to go. You know.
No,
but
I'm good.
I'm actually gonna take a pee break in a second after the second beer. But
we're gonna let's do like an NPR like, hi guy, we're gonna take a short pee break.
And who's this? Who's this gonna be advertised by? Who do you want to plug?
And we're gonna
who are we plugging?
This
is by
car guys that call us your extended warranty.
Cars for kids. 1-800. Okay, we're taking a pee break. Hang on.
Yep.
Yeah, the problem is that there's really no good podcasting apps. I'm hoping my goal is that once I get more listeners and like really pick up, then I'll get a microphone. I'll probably pay someone to like just upload it. I don't even want to edit.
Yeah.
Just upload it and just like get good quality. Like if we get a couple of like better equipment, but this really works really well.
Also, not only does it work really well, but not what's it called? Because you don't have to like cut, because it's one thing, like it's whatever we're saying.
Yeah.
It makes like I'll do these videos for promotion, like legal videos.
Oh yeah.
And if you're cutting, if you're doing if you're not like saying something in one take.
Yeah.
And you're just there's a lot more. It's just much more time.
You make those like short videos, or like if you haven't gotten paid yet, like call me.
I try to like do little legal stories that have happened, or
where do you post
like
it?
Tips and stuff online, like the usual.
Does it get hits?
Yeah, it gets hits. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I only just started doing it.
That's awesome. It's great marketing.
Yeah, it's nice marketing. It's also it's fun.
It's fun. You enjoy it?
Yeah, it's fun. It's like, listen, I like stories. I've always been interested in that kind. Like
storytelling.
I recently did one where this lady, what was her name? Neelam Sharma. She's an Indian lady, was murdered. And
recently?
This was in 2014. She was murdered, and then in 2023 they caught the killer. But the way they caught the killer was her parrot in her house. Her husband came home, and her parrot was like losing his shit every time their nephew. Hashu would come into the house. And so
Okay.
then he did an experiment where he said the names of each of his family members in front of the parrot. He claims, again, I
Okay,
mean,
yeah.
to what
Sure. Yeah.
extent do I know the accuracy of that? But
Okay.
that's what
Yeah. Okay.
what
And
India news says. And he told the police, and they caught
they caught the
Shua.
guy.
They caught the nephew. Did it?
The nephew did it.
Yeah, the parrot was the. The police didn't know. They had like, we're gonna close the case.
Get the heck
The
out.
parrot was able to inform on the killing.
How long do parrots live for?
30 years, I think.
What?
Yeah, they're old. Dude, you don't know, dude, birds? So
Birds?
so do you know about what's going on with the parrots here? You know how you see like 5 or 6 parrots flying around here? Sometimes you'll see them. They're
Okay.
green. They have a specific screech.
No, but I've seen really beautiful birds. Like I've seen
Oh, I
beautiful
love the
birds
birds.
recently here.
You have
Dude,
bird. You gotta have
incredible.
bird. You have a nice backyard. You have to get bird feeders.
I
I
should,
have
right?
tons of bird
Do
feeders.
you?
Yeah, I love it.
And where do you put them? Just all over the place?
I'll put them in the front yard. I have 2 in the front yard, and then now I want to get like a jelly one, but and then I'll put them on my window. So, but you have to have one like 10, 15 feet away from the house, and then once they're comfortable coming there, you can have one on your window, and these birds will come right up to your
That's
window.
so cool.
And
I
you
got to
have
do
I
that.
have a little.
Where do you get
Florida
them from?
birds books, a bird
Like
in
Amazon?
Florida book. Yeah, Amazon for like $30. It's amazing, and then you can get more into it, dude. It's so.
Dude, I'm gonna get it to full on bird watching.
I have so many, but then here's the problem with the bird thing.
Okay.
It's not a real problem, but it's kind of funny. So when you're,
It's definitely very funny.
you want the like red belly, you want the red bellied or whatever. You want like
Yeah, sure.
the real birds. But to get those, you have to put up with a certain amount of those little, those like little fucking birds on the highway.
Yeah.
Those like they're
Little
this
piss
big.
offs, yeah.
Yeah, those like gray birds.
They like fly into like,
Yeah.
windshields.
Yeah.
Cars.
So so they're fun. They're so I have like, for every one bird I want, I'm like running a soup kitchen
for all the
50
for 15 of
these.
them. Wow, that's so funny.
So I have in one of the bushes by
How
the
often
house.
how often
There's
do you fill
like
up the feeders?
50 of them. So
Do other animals come try to eat that?
squirrels. So you
Squirrels,
get there's like a little upside down cone that stops a squirrel from being able to get to it, because it's like, if you see like a cone, whatever, that attaches to a tree or
Okay. And you can only get in from the top where the bird comes in.
yeah, because
Gotcha.
if you try to climb, there's like a cone stopping it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So
That's smart.
yeah. So anyway, it's fun, but you have to put it. So I'm like running a soup kitchen, so I have to replace the bird feeder way more often than I thought. It's like $20 a bag.
And how often are you doing it?
And the bird feeder should last. If it was only the birds I wanted, it would last probably 3 weeks, 2.5, 3 days.
Really?
Yeah.
That's an expensive
Expensive
hobby, dude. You have a kid now. You can't just be spending $20 every couple of days on doing bird.
No. The bag lasts. The bag will. I could with one bag. I have like 10 refills.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So you got time.
But I love it enough, and
That's fine.
I'll only fill it. I'll fill it Wednesday midday to give the birds enough time to remember. Now it's been like a year and a half. I think the birds kind of remember quicker, but I want them there Shabbos. Over Shabbos, I like,
Really?
I like hearing and seeing them.
Do you work from home usually?
Yeah.
You usually work from home.
Yeah.
So you could sit by like your back and like
Oh my
watch
God,
birds
I'll hear
come by.
chirping and,
Get out of here, really?
I love it. Yeah. No, birds are fun. Also, my dad did bird watching.
Did he?
Toward the end of when he was an empty nester, he started getting into bird watching. So this was about 10,
That's such a good thing to do.
10, 15 years ago.
I know so many people, even my own family, that like once they became empty nesters, like
They got so many fun things.
No, the opposite. They didn't even know what to do with themselves. I actually think I think that you should find a lot of fun things.
Oh my God!
To make your life about, and I think a lot of people don't know what to. Like, a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm 60 or I'm 55. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna start a hobby now. I'm like, but guess what?
Yeah, you're gonna.
You start a hobby because in
start
10
doing
years
cool
from now you
shit.
can be the best in the world. That's something that you want to do.
Exactly what happened. And now my parents.
First couple of years, yeah.
No, so the first couple of years that my parents there was no one in the house, like you could see like it was fine. Obviously everything was okay, but it was like there was like an unsteadiness as far as like time management, like what to do with your time.
Yeah.
I'd come over, watch the football game. Like,
how many siblings do you have? You have 4?
5 siblings.
5 siblings.
Oh, no, sorry, 4 siblings.
4 siblings, 5 total. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
but then now it's like every night they're like every second
You're doing something, right?
they're moving. It's like funny. It's kind of we were joking because we got together the other night and we were smoking cigars and stuff, and we were joking how like it almost reversed because now that I'm like
Yeah.
I have young
Sure.
young kid.
Sure.
It's like I have to like I gotta be out by I gotta put the kid to bed at
Plan, you
9.
gotta,
And you're like all right, we'll go to Lincoln Road or
You have
like,
different. You have different priorities.
yeah,
And different.
it's
Different.
like
Yeah.
it's switched. They're like the single, and they have energy. Thank God. Thank God.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. It's so
Yeah.
freaking healthy, dude. I think. Yeah, and also a lot of people work their entire lives to get to that point where like they could pursue what they want, but by the time they get to that age, they're just
Yeah,
like
I know.
tired.
I
You know,
know.
like they're
And
just like
I hate judging. I hate like
I
because
hate judging it.
because like wait till like it's tough. Like
I can't blame them.
it must be
I don't
tough.
blame. I
I'm not
don't blame
60.
them. It's so
I
scary. It's
imagine
so
it's
scary
daunting.
to spend because also at 60, you're not really changing very much most of the time,
No, yeah.
unless you're literally trying to throw yourself into new things.
Yeah. And unless you have like a passionate new endeavor, it can be I can imagine it's very daunting. Like I'm not there like but
Yeah,
you have a lot on your mind. You're 60 and
I'm trying to figure out how to impart that in my parenting. Like I'm trying to figure
Yeah.
out like what I can do to like teach my kid to have enthusiasm
yeah
for things,
for
for
life
life.
and things and have
Yeah.
enthusiasm is a great word
Yeah.
because it's not passion. It's not like because passion I feel like is is specific. You're passionate about a specific
It's geared
activity.
towards something, right?
Enthusiasm is like a general
It's a state of being.
Yeah,
If you're
the state of mind,
enthusiastic,
yeah.
you're just like it's just excited about whatever it is that you're
Mhm.
like. You're just an excited mindset.
excited
You're just
whatever's coming your way go
you're eager.
yeah
You're eager. You want to be a part of it.
absolutely.
Dude. What was law school like? What was University of Miami like?
I loved it.
You didn't live there though, right?
I lived near campus.
But you weren't living. Were you living at home? You weren't living.
No, I wasn't living at home.
You
No,
got
I'd
a
already,
place near campus.
yeah, I'd moved out.
Where'd you live?
I was in an apartment about 5 minutes away from where
The
the
campus
school
is.
was. Yeah,
It's
6
Miami.
minutes.
It's South Miami Beach, right?
Yeah, it's Coral Gables kind of area.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's amazing. If there was a Jewish community there,
You'd be there.
I'd probably be there.
Really?
Maybe not now because it ends up so.
What do you think of Brickell? Do you know anything about it?
I know. I love. Yeah.
You love Brickell. I have a friend that just moved there.
Yeah. It's hard to again. It's like all these places. You just make this in life. You make decisions.
Yeah.
So, like, I made a decision to build community and to, get married, have a kid, and just kind of like appreciate that way of living. But Brickell, oh man, it's like a mini New York.
I've heard that. I haven't spent almost any. I've been there. I think like 3 or 4 times in my life.
Oh,
I've
it's
spent almost
amazing.
no time
No, I
there.
used to go to Blackbird is like a great bar there. In law school, we go the nightlife. I had a very good friend of mine to this day who lived in Brickell
Mhm.
Bay, and I go over there, play video games, hang out.
Mhm.
All the bars, all the nightlife. It's amazing.
So you loved University of Miami.
I love Brickell. I love University of Miami. I love Coral Gables, Miracle Mile, the Grove, all that. That whole area, I think, is like now it's they were trying to stop like people from building, but like
More there.
huge apartment buildings. Now it's so developed
Yeah.
that I wouldn't move there now. But like when I 10 years, well, what was it, 10 years ago? No, 6, 7 years ago. It was when I was in law school.
When you graduate?
Graduated, I was 24, so that was almost 6 years ago.
So 2018, 2019.
I don't know. Actually, I can't. Yeah, 2019.
Do you notice that our parents are really good at remembering years? And I
Yeah.
feel like our generation's not good at that.
But we got a bad because the problem is we didn't. I'm good with round numbers. You talk about 2015, 2016. If I would have started at 2000, a kid born in 2000 is
My wife is born in 2000.
yeah. So she's
Kid. Yeah. By the way, it's 2025. She's 25 years old.
Yeah, 5 years younger.
But yeah, she's 4.5 years younger than me.
But she's lucky because when she thinks like, damn, what was I doing when I was 17? 2017.
Yeah.
Life is easy for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I always law school was another thing that like I could have done that I couldn't. I don't know. I couldn't see myself. I could never have seen myself doing it. I could never have seen myself being a lawyer. Was it scary to do? Was it scary to like throw yourself into like 3 more years of school and like
Not for me because it was what I was gearing towards the whole time.
it's like you knew the whole time you wanted to be a lawyer.
Yeah. Also, it was just it was just like the way my life was going.
How
Just kinda
intensive
doing
was
that.
law school?
It was very, yeah. I mean,
You were doing-
it was you didn't do anything else. I mean, you hung out with guys at law school. You didn't, or you hung out with people at law school. You didn't like it's like people joke like you lose friends when you go to law school. Not to be dramatic, but
Yeah,
I'm sure
no.
people,
I mean, it's
sure
just
people actually keep friends.
I'm sure medical school is like that too.
But
You know, like
it's just very intense. But I also knew I was doing it. Like I said, it wasn't. I don't think it was like hard to make those decisions because I was very determined in the path that I was taking. Thank God it was. I don't regret those paths because the problem for people would be if like there's people who went to law school and then like didn't like in third year dropped out. Very rare, but like they'll drop out
Yeah.
or they don't end up using that degree in any way beneficial because
Yeah.
they were so it's like being determined on a path, but then having miscalculated what you really want to do in life.
Mhm.
And then like if you were you're I think you're very artistic. If you went to law school and you're like 2 years in and like you want to be enthusiastic about it because you know you're supposed to finish what you start and,
Yeah.
and then you're like in it and in it and in it and then you're working at a law firm and you're like holy fuck me like I can't, I'm gonna lose my shit in
Yeah,
this, if
yeah.
I do this every day, like that would have been bad. So I didn't have that.
That's really good.
Yeah,
That's really good.
I'm very very fortunate. I try to be appreciative that like
Was it a crazy
crazy
adjustment to the English classes that you were taking? Like was it
no,
like
it was all the same.
Oh, really? What?
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't like a struggle. I wasn't.
Because it's known as a good school, I think, University of
Yeah.
Miami, right?
Yeah,
It's got a great reputation.
In South Florida, it's known as a good school. It's got a great alumni base. It's a great campus, and it's reasonably difficult to get into. I liked it. It was a great experience for people who want it, but I would never recommend it. I wouldn't recommend.
You wouldn't be like, oh, hey, it's a really good idea to go to law school.
No.
Like, if you want to be a lawyer, go for it. But like,
No, if you really want to be a lawyer, do it. In today's day and age, especially, the only advantage, if you're not doing law, the advantage of going to law school would be if you wanted to get into an entrepreneurial pursuit, but you wanted to have more value. You wanted to have more value to like entrepreneurship than just being an entrepreneur. Because, like, for example, let's say you were an entrepreneur.
yeah,
You might need another person.
I definitely need another person.
Yeah,
I know it. I know that if I ever started a company, I would need
you
a
would
partner.
need someone else. But so if you want to add value to yourself,
Right.
people and everyone's an entrepreneur, right? Especially in today's day and age, everyone has the word entrepreneur. Being an attorney who, whatever you specialize in, you're just adding another skill set
Yeah.
that someone gets basically for free,
Yeah.
and you're happy with it because you, well, not you, I'm saying in this
I understand,
context,
right.
the lawyer is happy about it because they've added value. They
Sure.
yeah, it's like
I know plenty of people that have gone to law school and have never practiced law a day in their lives.
Yeah.
And they just went because the credentials, like those 3 years of credentials, have made their future lives so much easier,
better,
so
yeah.
much better.
absolutely
Yeah.
And it does teach you. It's very Gemara in that way. It's very
I've heard
Gemara.
that. I've heard that. It's just a very technical way of looking at things. Like I've gotten offered from my grandmother that she and my step grandfather would pay for law school if I
Really?
decided to go.
Jeez, bro.
But I can, man. I don't want. I
They'll
would
pay for
rather.
it.
I'd rather go to. I'd rather go to. I'd rather get. I'd rather become a therapist and go to graduate school for psychology.
It's not a bad industry.
It's not a bad industry. I just think I would love it. I think I would love it. Like, I
Yeah.
love dealing with people. And I love figuring out.
Yeah,
How
and
people
AI is
work.
not going to take that over either. I mean, it will eventually. Like
I was gonna ask you about AI and law.
AI and law.
Are you screwed?
Listen, I think honestly, I think a lot of people are gonna be screwed, and then the government is gonna have to like do some overreach.
You think so?
Well, because someone's gonna have to step in if all the jobs are gone, and it's gonna be the government because it's not gonna be like
If the jobs are done, and I'm always confused about this, does this mean that there's a surplus of money available because the jobs that generally cost a lot of money are now free, and so people that are ordinarily paying for a lot of expenses are now getting those are now getting those very expensive services for nothing, will that create more wealth?
I
Like if I didn't have to, like my dad, like for example, my dad was in a lawsuit um, about a warehouse that he was in. Right, he had equipment in a warehouse. He was renting it out.
my kind of story.
And dude, I'll tell you the story. It's a crazy story if you want to hear it. But he finished. He's still this happened in the lawsuit started in 2014, right? He lost. The verdict the verdict was against him. Was ruled against him
He went to trial.
in 2017,
Wow, he took it all the way to trial.
and then he went on appeal 2018.
Jeez.
The appeal went through COVID, got pushed off through COVID. Only got finished up. My dad won the appeal
He won?
this summer. This summer,
Oh no, they're gonna have to
2024.
redo the whole thing.
He won the appeal. No, the person that he was initially suing, that countersued him, that the whole thing was about, is dead.
Oh boy. It's like his estate. They changed
It's
it. They amended
insane.
it to the
It's
estate of
insane.
John Doe.
And dude, my dad's been paying legal fees for 11 years.
What case is it? What kind of case is it?
The whole case was so. I'll tell you the story. I'm not going to tell you too
whatever.
many
I don't know if
details.
whatever you
Yeah.
think is
I'll tell you
because
the.
you're
I'll tell you.
fine, we can talk about it later also.
I'll tell you the broad details. My dad was leasing a warehouse space that was on the Hudson River, right?
Yeah.
There was a hurricane, I think Irma is the name.
Hurricane came and devastation rain.
Yes, exactly what it was. Because this was a giant brick industrial building, and the Hudson River, literally, because of this hurricane, crashed through the back of the warehouse, through the back of the building, and picked up. I'm not exaggerating when I probably say millions of dollars worth of medical equipment, and my dad's cars that he had parked in his place, and just came like the tide and it swept it all into the Hudson River, right? And the guy did not, the landlord did not give my dad the security deposit back, which was, let's say, 15 grand, right? First month, last month, right? 7 grand a month, 15 grand, right? Hypothetically, I'm throwing out numbers. I don't even remember what the exact numbers are. My dad sued him for the security deposit back. He's like, listen, it was a hurricane. What the heck do you want? The heck am I responsible for? You know, like.
Isn't there an insurance? Nobody insured the
So
content. That's contents.
well, there's both. There's my dad had flood insurance on the on the equipment that he had, and then the landlord had flood insurance on the building, right?
Yeah, tap into that.
The landlord countersued my dad and said that because my dad's car was parked in the warehouse, his car broke the warehouse.
Oh my god.
And my dad, who thought this was such a horseshit thing to say, hired one of his friends who was an immigration attorney who has no experience with this.
Oh no. You should have just got
He lost,
yeah.
right? And so all those additional expenses. And the way my dad recalls the event was like, he was like, we went to court.
This is your dad or your grand?
This is my dad.
Oh, this was your dad.
It's my dad, dude.
Oh, I thought it was your grandfather.
He's like, we went to court. This was 20. This is right now. You know.
Oh
He goes,
God.
we went to court. He goes, the opposing side made the argument. My lawyer said no questions. They said okay. Case closed. You know, like
my God.
that was it. And he goes, and I lost the lawsuit. And he goes, I can't believe my life. I can't believe. And he goes, and I had to subsequently pay 10 years worth of legal fees to rectify this stupid mistake. You know, because, and he goes, and you know, and obviously there's a lot more, you know, law and detail and nuance and,
of course,
you know, whatever. But
it's a rough.
But you know, but imagine that all those legal fees that he paid. I mean, he must have paid. I'm not exaggerating. Probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees, right? Over 12 years or 11 years. Like, imagine if that was free. Imagine if that was AI.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the example. So you're saying if that service was AI.
So like, yeah, people would be out of jobs, but there'd be more money that people are like in the economy.
In the past, that's what's happened, and there's obviously a bunch of great videos on all these different. Everyone's sort of speculating what is going to happen, what will happen. But yes, that's true. That making services more readily available and easier is the best
And free.
and free is the best. And a lot of when those things happened in the past, we kind of created new jobs.
to fit
Well,
with
you
it.
mentioned therapy. That was a job that was sort of created because of an influx in the job market.
Was it?
Yeah, yeah, those were one of those things. Yeah, I mean, those kind of like um, because now there's more money. So we create other ways for people to make money.
Sure. But listen, horse and buggy
Now the
drivers are not
details, I
doing
don't,
that anymore.
yeah, the details. I don't. But when railroads, when the
How about or the best
Henry
example is
Ford came
cabs to
about,
Ubers.
yeah,
Cabs to
cabs
Ubers, right?
tubers,
How
yeah,
think about remember the medallion? You know what that is? The medallion was like a certification that you were like a New York like a New York taxi driver, right?
yeah,
And there's only a limited amount of medallions, and they were worth an enormous amount of money. People would like get them when they were young in the 60s and 70s. And they hand it on to their kids. Like it was like it was almost like actually Jersey I think has this law where they have a certain amount of liquor licenses that they just give throughout the state. Period. Let's say it's
it's
50.
a number, yeah,
So like the number, so like the 50th store has to close for someone else to be able to get their
yeah.
license. And there were that was the case with medallions in New York City, and then all of a sudden anyone could become an Uber driver or a
They
Lyft
opened up the
driver or anything
market,
like
yeah,
that, and then the medallion crashed. It was worth nothing, and
yeah,
like it was people's pensions. I mean, like
yeah.
if you were a taxi
That's
driver
cool.
for 30 years, you could sell your medallion at the end of your career for 50, 60 grand and like
I mean, it's not
retire.
cool that that happened. What I mean is,
It's a
here
cool concept, yeah.
it's cool
It's
that
definitely
no.
cool.
So if it happens like one industry, that's cool, and that is what was I gonna say? The like with the Uber thing, like that's a really cool thing that's very cool, and it opened up this whole situation. And but
I
like
know, I know
I'm
several people that
also
are Uber
I'll
drivers.
never pretend like we can't also at the same time pretend that when women joined the workforce, it brought overall wages, relatively speaking, down because
Yeah,
we've doubled our workforce.
sure.
And so
That's interesting.
in some ways we in a lot we can move people around and find new jobs and create new, and people when there's a will there's a way. People will, with
Right.
enough determination. It's almost like I think of like a very Jewish concept. You will find some way to be of value to your fellow human. That's trade.
Yeah,
That's badass. Let's fucking go.
yeah,
But if you flood the market with double the workforce, you can't. That's why you don't have.
yeah.
And that's one of the reasons. The other reasons
So I
are
hear you say so.
After
So
World
right,
War II, the rest of the world didn't really have any markets, so
sure.
it was easier for us. So, but it's one contributing factor. So one industry that's fine, but if AI comes along and disrupts
Medicine, law,
the entire
coding.
35% of all jobs,
Yeah, we're
that
not gonna
now
know
you
what
have
to do with
30
themselves.
percent of people in the country have nothing to do. You can only dilute and find new jobs to a certain extent, and I think the best way to explain it is like the whole like capitalism. Capitalism works because we say your value is at minimum your two hands. You can work with your two
Right.
hands,
Yeah.
and that's value. And so then you can write like the whole pencil, making a pencil thing. You have
Mhm.
value to make a pencil, but what about the guy who produces all the machinery to make the pencil? He invests his money.
Mhm.
But if a machine comes along and 30% of the jobs make those two hands are non
Useless. Yeah.
useless, now you got a bunch of useless people,
But
and
I,
we got to figure out what to do with those
yeah.
guys.
But now we say our values are brains, our creativity, our imagination. Our
So
brains.
what if AI was creative?
I don't know.
What if AI wrote better songs than you ever would? So
I don't know.
yeah,
So I don't know. I
yeah.
really. The
I
truth
don't think
is,
a lot of people don't know. By the way, even conservatives who are very capitalist, Ben Shapiro talk about AI. He's excited, and he should be. But I mean, there's a healthy amount of trepidatious attitude toward it.
yeah. I mean, I feel like in an ideal world, and on one hand, I'm skeptical about the whole ideal world concept. On the other hand, like if anyone brings ideal world into life, it's Elon Musk,
Yeah,
But like he's like in the future, AI is going to need to be like a blend of humanity and
yeah.
AI,
No, I
and
100%
like
agree.
okay, so let's say hypothetically, because right now what AI is good at is computing. AI is good at like is way AI will search an entire library way faster than 1,500 human beings will. It'll do it in a fraction of the
No,
time.
it's very obvious computers are are faster than
Computing.
ours. Computing is better than the human brain.
Correct. But where to direct it and what to do with it and where to focus it
Yeah,
becomes the question.
absolutely.
You know? What do you this would be fun. What do you the Cybertruck incident?
Oh, you know what's funny? I didn't. I was so busy around the time that happened.
You have no idea, no
I
time to look into it?
glanced, and I never. I'm such a. I'm a very curious person. I think.
Yeah.
I tend to think of myself as a curious person, and so that's like one of the few. Like I don't know anything about it. I was just so.
No?
I like glanced at my phone and saw that happened. I'm
Okay,
like,
so
okay, and I put it down.
so I'll give you what I consumed and what I'm not sure about.
What you think is a Chinese?
No.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know. So the Cybertruck blows up in Las Vegas in front of Trump Tower,
Okay.
allegedly taking credit by a military guy, an active military member, who reached out to, you know who Sean Ryan is, podcaster.
No.
He's a podcaster, legit guy, big former military CIA guy. I think he was a SEAL. I'm not sure. I think he was a Navy SEAL.
They have to be Navy SEAls, otherwise I can't take them seriously.
Otherwise, you can't take it seriously.
These days, if you're not a Navy SEAL and you're trying to talk military, get out. Of here,
Yeah,
bro.
dude.
What a fucking loser.
He said he got a guy on the podcast that called him and said, I got a message from someone who's legit a military guy because he gave me his credentials, he gave me his name, he gave me verification. He goes, he told me he was about to do this. He messaged me December 30th, December 31st. He says, I have basically a car bomb. He goes, I'm trying to blow the whistle on the drone situation. He goes, no one's listening to me. I'm being tailed by the FBI. And he goes, and he goes, I've tried to reach out to Sean Ryan. I tried to reach out to who's the new secretary, Pete Hegseth, is that his name?
I don't know.
The new Secretary of Defense and Fox News, and then also this guy, right? He reached out to like a bunch of people. They all found the messages. This guy sent the same message the day before the attack, saying you have to get back to you before January 1st because of X, Y, and Z. It went to spam for a lot of people, or it went to just like unread messages because they get so many of them constantly. But this guy happened to see it, right? And and he said that there is like anti-gravity technology that America and China have, that the only two countries that have it, and we're eminently close to some kind of war, and this is why he's doing it. And then the next day, and this guy posts it, the Sean Ryan, this guy posts it, and then posts right after this podcast episode, he goes, I'm giving my Twitter account over to my producer. My family are laying low for a couple of days. We're disappearing.
Well, who is this? This is
the podcaster that posted this episode with this guy, right? And then the next day, I keep on hearing there's just a psyop. There's just a bunch of people that are just trying to scare you. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like all you're doing, you're not saying anything he's saying is not true. You're not refuting anything that he's saying. You're just saying no. Like
you're just saying nah.
Yeah, and I have a hard time with that. Like I have a hard.
A lot of people have a hard time with
I've had a hard time with general putting down a concept without explaining why. Tell me I'm an idiot, but explain to me you're an idiot because you don't understand this.
I think it's the worst thing you can do is just that. And I think even a lot of like people who defend not Judaism but Israel are
blindly
victims of that.
Yeah.
Where they'll just be like, that's wrong. You're anti-Semitic, and it's like I'm thinking like Cook, like go tell them why. Like listen, I'm sitting at home. I have 8,000 things going on. I know the reasons why, and I only do it for a living. Like it's so frustrating. I think universally people are fed up with the whole like. Even you see now what's going on with Meta. Facebook just put 3 conservatives. One of them is Dana White.
Yeah, Dana White, dude.
Like
that's crazy.
Let me tell you something. Zuckerberg, he doesn't give a shit.
What do you think of
left
Zuckerberg?
Or right. I think he doesn't give a shit left or right. I think
he goes with the tide.
I think this guy wants to build the best fucking empire he can, and rightfully so. I'm saying like good for him.
Yeah.
And he's saying it's time to like stack some conservatives, change the community notes, because that's the way it ties up. Dude, this guy changes out. You saw how he dresses now?
dude.
Dude, he dresses like a Gen Z, like a.
Yeah.
He dresses like
But you know,
I'm
he's
not
only
saying
been
it's a
going back
bad
and forth for a couple of years because I remember a couple of years ago when I first started listening to Rogan, he was on. He was one of the first episodes I listened to was Mark Zuckerberg, and I was like, who the fuck is this Rogan dude, and why is
Why is
Mark
he sitting
Zuckerberg talking to a comedian? You know, like I don't know who this guy
Fucking
is.
junkie. This dude looks like bald little.
But dude, I told you my favorite conspiracy theory is that Joe Rogan's not Joe Rogan.
By the way, it's the best.
It's the best conspiracy theory. It's not him, dude. You watch videos of him from when he's hosting Fear Factor, and
It's
you
so
watching the guy
big.
now, and you're like, he's
You
not Joe
fucking
Rogan.
idiot,
He's
bro.
not Joe Rogan. He's an
You think
alien.
that's him, bro?
The biggest proof of aliens is that Joe Rogan became the biggest podcaster on
Dude,
the
all you
planet
need.
with the difference. It's not Joe Rogan.
All you need is like some slightly antisocial dude to like take you seriously and like try to prove
I'm gonna
like
become
try
a
try
cult
to
leader,
prove
dude.
try to prove why he is Joe Rogan, and then you get to sit there and be like, bro, it's not Joe Rogan.
It's not
He's like,
possible. Look at his head.
he
Look
has
at
the
his
same
head.
mannerisms. He has the same mannerisms. He lost his hair. He talked about it. He talked about it. He would talk about it.
He would talk about it. Why? You see
Listen to
Timothy
this.
Chalamet as Bob Dylan. You can't tell me someone can't act like Joe Rogan. Are you kidding? You see Austin Butler as Elvis.
Yeah,
You
you
got me?
fucking idiot. That's not him. It's so obvious.
It's obviously just a psyop, dude. Joe Rogan's
It's
whole
such a
following is
good-
psyop, dude.
It's
I
such
am.
a good bit.
It's so much fun because it flips it on everyone's head. It's like, where do you go with
Put
that?
them on the defense.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's obviously not him, and make them have to prove it.
Oh my god, dude, it's so much fun. It's such a fun
I
concept.
yeah. So like actually, what happened? Drogan came out with a video today where he was talking to I think some Christian advocate
Yeah,
or someone who
I
knows.
started listening to
Yeah,
it.
same thing. I started. I'm like 20 minutes in, and he had some debate with
Did you know? Are you aware of the debate?
So I knew about the debate because some videos came up on my stream. I didn't know anything.
So I didn't even know. I didn't even hear
think
about
I
it.
had to look up what the topic was. I could. The funniest though is oh shoot, what was I? Why did I bring that up? Oh, whatever. Anyway,
With Rogan.
Anyway, that I forgot why, but
Okay, good, because I have to pee again. One
Yeah.
second.
So, like,
The dancing is so much
some people
fun.
like, and I love being in those environments.
So
Yeah.
so I went to this band. It's called Dark Star Orchestra. Dark Star is a famous Grateful Dead song, and it's famous because rhythmically and musically it makes very little sense, and it's really like the most like acid LSD
Kind of vibe, yeah.
culmination. Like if you're baked or if you're on any kind of drug and you're listening to it, it literally will transport you to like another universe,
thing.
dude. Like it's called Dark Star for a reason. Like it literally like it just got very dark tones, and like it usually leads into like some kind of very primitive. The Grateful Dead used to do a primitive drum session where they just like everyone leave the stage and it was just the drummers, and like it was just percussion, and they would bring the craziest things.
Vibe, yeah.
And then they would yeah. So I went to this cover band, and and I didn't know this. I was reading a book called Your Brain on Music. An amazing book. I mean,
Nice.
I'm only a couple of chapters in, but it was really amazing. And one of the things that the author talks about is that when music actually activates the visual part of our brains too, right? So
So it like activates the visual part.
yeah, so it's not just the sounds that we're picking up, but we also generally associate visions or colors with music, right?
I believe that, by the way. I mean, when you listen to a song, you tend to associate with, I guess, well, maybe you're just saying
An imagery,
in
yeah,
general,
yeah.
but I think, yeah, a lot of imagery, places you were when you heard that song. It's more of an experience than just kind of like listening to a song.
So for myself, and actually I do this for my classes sometimes for creative writing assignments, I'll play a score.
You're one of those teachers, aren't
Oh
you?
yeah, I'll play a score,
yeah,
and then I'll be
funky
like,
teachers,
right, what comes to mind? Here's the score. I'm not giving you any context you never heard in your entire life, you know.
Nice.
And what what story is the music telling you? What visuals are you getting? You know, close your
couldn't
eyes,
agree more with
listen to
that.
the music, and write the story that's happening, right? And so at these concerts, and Fish is actually known for this too. If you know the band Fish,
Yeah.
they're known. I think that they say that the Light Guy is a sixth band member because lights and music are so closely intertwined that like certain tones of music and certain vibes and like a pace or the tone or the type of instrument that's like leading the band will actually correlate to like different colors and like dark deep music I've noticed generally is played with a lot of reds and yellows and dark and like darker kind of
it's
colors.
literally
And then like
connected.
literally and then if the music will break out into something lighter or cheerier or happier, it'll be green and blue and white and like and there's actually and there's actually like light engineers at these shows
Who know and
who will listen and actually adjust the lighting based on the tone that the music's
they're
setting
like
for them.
experts. They're,
Dude, and you're standing there and you're at this concert and there's 5,000 other people there with you, or 7,000 other people there with you.
Yeah.
And the lights are there, and the speakers are incredible, and the whole crowd is there. And I actually did breath work while I was at this concert. I'm breathing, I'm closing my eyes. I had a little bit of cannabis, and I closed my eyes.
No.
And it's so funny because actually I put my J in my hoodie before I went. I forgot that in New York marijuana is legal.
Yeah.
And
I've had that a few times. When I went, I was like, wow, I'm like, I was
they're so
proud.
chill
I remember
about it.
I went to a bar. I'm like, someone's like, yeah, I know I got weed. I'm like, bro, like you sell? Can I buy some? Whatever. He's like, yeah, but, like you can
You
buy.
can also go down the block and like, yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, that's right.
so so I put my J in my hoodie, right, in like the hood of my hoodie, and the guy's checking me for security before I come in, and he checks my hoodie, and he goes, "You don't have to do that, man." And I'm like,
You're
and
like,
I'm like,
let's
he's like,
go.
"You scared me. I thought you had a weapon in your hood." He goes, "Dude," he goes, "You have a smoking section. You go in to the left of the stage." He goes, "To the left of the stage." He goes, "Right outdoors. There's still speakers that you can hear the music."
Yeah.
And he goes, so I'm there, and I'm with thousands of other people, and the lights are just flashing, and I close my eyes, and I'm breathing in and out for 7 seconds at a time. In for 7 seconds through my nose, out 7 seconds through my mouth, and I'm like, I'm transferred to another dimension, dude. Like it's literally, I'm not exaggerating, like another dimension. Like everything coming together at one time. And then you walk away, and I'm also just a massive advocate. I don't think we have this enough. I think COVID actually killed this for a lot of people. Big group activities, shared
Yeah.
experiences
Yes.
is such a valuable
Well,
thing
in the community, I think it just became way too easy to not interact
with other
on
people.
a and especially like you're saying on a large scale or some
Yeah. And I would like I went to a baseball game this summer, and it was a Cubs game. I was in Chicago, and the Cubs lost. But like everyone left the stadium, and everyone had a great time. And there's a band playing outside. It was a
just
one
you
o'clock
in the
game.
stadium by yourself breathing
Me and my dad. Me and my dad. Me and my dad. But I've done.
empty
I
the
like these
janitors
things.
sweeping up shit.
That stuff. I would love that stuff, dude. If I could be there for that, I would pay to be there for
No,
that.
I know.
Like that. That's to me. That's like the magic of the place. That's like that's where like the poetry and the art and like the life comes in.
So it's 100% the case that I think a real problem with like because like it's funny if I'm in America like I talk to if one talks to many different kinds of people, one person will think you're like wow you're really conservative, and then you go to somewhere else and they're like
So, do everyone thinks I'm
whoa you're
living?
like a freaking hippie.
Yeah,
And I've had and so like it's almost good that that's happened
I love that.
because it sort of made me realize that it's like oh like there's a lot of different people in the world and
There's not a gray area.
and I don't have to like worry about how people are going to view this, especially in a very political world. But I don't have to worry about how people are going to see this because everyone's on all different parts of this spectrum of life, and it's like this is where I am.
And also, people are going to interpret events however they want to interpret it. Like if someone, let's say, is left leaning, and then they hear something you say, and it's not something that's on what they have to, well, like on the same wavelength as them,
Yeah,
they're going to just say,
yeah, they're gonna
"That's
add,
not what I think.
yeah,
It's got to be conservative. You got to be a
yeah, they're
conservative."
gonna add shit
And
to
you
it.
talk to a conservative, and you say something, and you're like, "Well, that's not really my ideology." He goes,
Yeah.
You must be probably a little
No,
more
but
to the
that's
left,
what I
right?"
mean. It's like I can easily say things about both sides that are like both sides can be disingenuous. But I think because I've talked to like one person who says I'm one way and the other says the other way. Now in the future when I talk to different people of different backgrounds, not just political, a life,
Yeah.
social, like you're saying about music. I'm sure there's someone out there that's like here's what you say about music. They're like, holy shit, this hippie's off his wagon.
Yeah.
But it's like, you get to sit there and say, like, I know what this feels like to me. I know how important it is. I know I've grounded it in biological, social, normative behavior. Like, it's not like you're crazy. You're saying like music is an important thing. You've read about it.
Dude,
And being
music
prideful
is
is important
everything
and
to
all
me,
this stuff.
dude.
And so it's like you've grounded, you know your own opinions. You know
Yeah.
how real these things are, and you haven't heard someone counter it. So I don't know. I think that's cool.
Well, I think that I mean, I'm always being exposed to different things. It's also funny because when I revisit things that I used to hear and not appreciate, like I went with my dad to a band called Soul Farm, right? And C. Lansbaum is Jewish. They're a Jewish band. You know, I'm sure you know Moshav band, right?
I
You
can't
ever
tell
heard of
you.
Moshav?
I
They're a Jewish
vaguely.
band. They're a Jewish band. They're very famous. Israeli, Middle Eastern, Mediterranean kind of style, like cool acoustic instruments and like flutes and acoustic guitars and like
Nice.
there's drums you hold in between your legs.
Yeah. No, I
So
got your vibe.
those kind of
I
vibes,
know what
right?
you mean. Yeah.
But and C. Lansbaum, who's the guitar player, is this incredible musician and like big Grateful Dead fan and like really like and so my dad's a huge fan of the music. And growing up, I couldn't stand them because my dad was so obsessed with them. And then my dad asked me this past weekend to go with him to a concert. And in the last couple of years, I spent a lot of effort trying to expand the music I listen to. I try to listen to blues. I try to listen to jazz. I try listening to reggae.
You're pretty versatile in music.
I try to be. You know who really is, dude? Kiwi knows everything
No, so I can't tell which
about
one of you
music.
know more
He
about
knows
music
way
because you're
more.
both very,
He knows a
very
lot.
prolific.
Yeah, he knows.
He knows even more. Yeah.
I think he knows more. I might know more about like specific
I think you
musicians and
both know
artists.
more than most people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it's something I'm passionate.
Yeah, exactly.
When I get
Right, yeah.
so when I went to visit this time, when we went to the concert, they played a set list of I think 12 or 15 songs, right, somewhere between there. You know, not too many songs, but a couple hours.
Yeah.
And each song they played was a different genre, completely, right? Like one would be reggae, one would be like rock, one would be jam band, one would be Middle Eastern style, one would be a little bit more country vibe, and like they played every type of genre song so perfectly, so beautifully.
They're like masterful.
And it took me 15 years of my life of appreciating and learning about music to revisit something that I already knew. And I was like, holy shit, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my entire. Like, this is so cool. This is so incredible. Like, I learned to appreciate that. And like, that's the, and I've written things off when I was younger, or like things that I used to love when I was younger, right off now.
Do you think that was just time passing and learning new things as you grow? Like "Cats in the Cradle," I think is a great
I love that
example
song.
of a song that I, growing up, really appreciated.
Mhm.
I could hear the words.
Sure, it's beautiful.
I knew what it was saying.
The whole dimension shifts now that you're a dad.
Not, even before I was a dad, but when I started to like realize what, time and vulnerability of youth.
Yeah.
And like even before I was a dad, but for sure when I'm a dad, but
Yeah.
but leading up to that,
Sure.
even
That part of your part of your life.
yeah, like in my mid-20s, I started seeing, and now for sure even more now, that song is like what I thought about it times 50, right? It's such a different
Yeah.
feeling that it evokes.
Yeah, we're at the point. It's so interesting. I'm so curious if our generation will be the one to do it. I really hope it is. There was always a miscommunication between the older generation and the younger generation, where the younger generation felt misunderstood, and the older generation, generally speaking, was not open enough to hear why they felt misunderstood and what they felt misunderstood about.
Yeah.
Right. I think that we're hopefully going to be the generation of like mentally healthily aware parents and adults. I hope that like we can understand like we could communicate with our children. Like I'm trying to talk to my students
Who's
about like
empathetic enough to understand that like this is real.
yeah, but also like I want to like think about how useful it would be if you appreciated youth when you were young. You know, and like we are young, and like I appreciate it now. Like I know that 29 is not young, and that is not old. I know it's not old.
No,
Like,
absolutely.
I have 30 or 40 productive years ahead of me right now. You know, and that's amazing. I'm really, really excited about
nice,
it.
doesn't it?
But like, it would have been so cool to have my mindset when I was 17. It would have been so and I don't know how to
Isn't
do.
that funny? At
How do I teach
17,
that?
yeah, I don't know because I know exactly what you mean, which is, but the thought you just had is the reason not because and part of me. So my grandmother said to me because I mean she passed away obviously since this conversation, but she said I was asking her at one point, do you like when you were in your youth, did you think often about you know this kind of stuff. You know, not that
Yeah.
I'm not that I'm existentially angst. And to your
No,
point, it's hard to explain. It's not that I'm like hyper focused on it. Thank God I'm living every day and I'm appreciating it to the
Mhm.
point you said. But I'm certainly not. I'm not gonna live forever. I'm not as
You know you're
carefree
mortal.
as I was when I was 18, 17, 18. Um, but I think part of it is that you're not supposed to. I think that's what I
You
came
think
to.
so?
I think if you were 17 and you think I have 50, 55, 60 good years ahead of me, you and I now sit here like, holy shit, this guy's got 60 years. Let's
Yeah,
fucking
let's
go,
go,
bro.
dude.
Let's cook 60. Holy
I know,
shit.
but think how much you're gonna
But
come in 10 years.
but at 17, if you think I have 60, it just
It
ruins
could.
that
Yeah,
experience.
yeah, yeah,
Like it ruins what those years are supposed to be about. Your brain's not fully developed. You're supposed to learn new things and try new things and kind of be more present
yeah,
now than now. Maybe.
yeah. I think you're right. That's interesting. I never thought about it like that, but I don't. But I think
I don't know. Listen.
like right now, for example, like teaching. Like I think there's something I part of something I really really love about teaching. My It's crazy to say my 10th grade students are as capable as many 18, 19, or 20-year-olds that I've met in my life.
That's cool.
And they are not achieving what those 18, 19, 20-year-olds are able to accomplish because we're treating them like they're 10th
Because
graders.
people look at them like
And
yeah.
I tell them, you have the potential. You have it. It's right there. Just do it, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
just
right
do it.
there.
You're so smart. You're so creative. Just put it into words and just let's go. And they're like, nah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ah,
They're
it
like,
kills
bro,
me.
I only started talking a few years ago. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. I think that's gonna be
No, I agree. I also think the internet made in a good and bad way. I think the internet. So, a funny thing. My dad and I were watching the matching game back in like the 70s.
mm,
So it's a game where a comedian or some guest is like, yeah, let's go.
no pressure, dude. But
No, no pressure, bro. You will not have more beers than me.
Dude,
Do you know
you could out drink you, by the
do
way.
you know Chaim Squires in
Yeah, of
Fairhaven?
course. Dude,
Yeah.
I've known him for 100 years.
Oh yeah, I went to
Because
yeshiva.
I know his family from Muncie. I
Oh,
mean, from
very,
Brooklyn, New
small
York.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so I went to yeshiva. So obviously he moved here like 4 years ago, and he's one of the like
You know Shalom and Teen too?
yeah. I went to yeshiva.
Dude,
Those are the two guys
I've
that I
known
hung
him
out
since
with.
I was 7, 8 years old.
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I ran
yeah.
into him for the first time in probably a decade or more.
Wow,
The other day at the UPS store.
that's so
I saw
funny.
him at a
He's
bridge.
been at the fairways for like a year and a half.
Yeah, he's been there for a while,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I know his mom very well. Not in any kind of weird way.
What a
but
interesting.
the way I know him and the way I know Scars is from my neighbors growing up, where the parents were all best friends. So they would come to my neighbors for the weekends all the time.
Oh, nice.
So I
Small
knew them
world,
growing
yeah.
up. Yeah, for sure.
No, very cool.
So what were you saying about him?
I forgot. Wait, what was I saying? Shit.
You're
Oh,
saying-
wow, yeah. I drank with him like a year and a half ago, and I remember we like both committed to like we will not stop drinking until the other one does. And that's a bad,
This is such a bad idea, dude. But,
bad
you know,
idea
I
because
tap
both
out
people end up drinking
more than they should.
more than they should because no one wants to give up. And
Do you
I
find day
was
drinking
the one that
exhausting?
messed up.
You messed up?
I messed up. I that was not a productive. That was not a
Yeah.
productive Shabbos.
Have you I've been struggling with drinking during the day, dude. It's like on Shabbos
Oh.
day.
No.
It kills me.
I get it.
Kills me, dude. I come home from Kiddush.
Yeah,
I
you
home
can't shake it.
I feel like crap. That afternoon I feel disgusting. That night I go for
Yeah,
a jog.
that night,
I feel weighed down. I'm like,
So let me give you a different perspective on it.
Okay, let's hear it.
First of all, okay,
I'm all about being
yeah.
sold, by the way. I'm all for that.
If your Friday night is fire and you're having a great time,
Yeah.
and you want to be like, let's go all in on Friday night, I respect that. And then Shabbos day, you might have to just kind of like play it safe and just recover.
Yeah.
You're not going to do anything special.
Look at that.
What is that? What even is that? It's like a firework that's never exploding.
I don't know.
So
Drone?
here's. Oh, it might be. Is it?
I don't know, dude. It's orange.
Or
Yeah.
drones can be orange. Hey, drones can come in any color.
Dude, what is
Okay?
the drone situation? Why they stop? Why they stop on New
Hashtag
Year's?
drones in any color.
Have you heard that the drones have been happening for like the last 5 years, like the same time of year?
I did not
Like
hear
towards the end of the year, like
Dude,
December. Like
you got to
before
get off Alex Jones' YouTube channel.
I'm not on Alex Jones' YouTube. Dude, Alex Jones. I probably
He's
listen
a
twice a
wild
year.
boy, bro.
I probably listen 2 or 3 times a
That's
year. I
some of the
can't
most-
handle more than that.
Dude, that's some of the most fun listening experiences. And you know what's funny? I noticed about Alex Jones is he is 100% the PG conspiracy theorist for people like
Is
us.
he PG?
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because this guy goes all the way down the rabbit hole. You get to partake in cabals,
Yeah.
in the queen is, the queen drinks Christian children's blood. You get
Yeah.
to partake in
Crazy shit.
everything, bro. Nothing is off the list. But why is it PG? Because this guy will never never go. He'll never attach Jews to it.
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
as a Jew, you it's like guilt.
It's the only
It's
conspiracy
guilt-free
theory. That's right.
because everyone else, 10 minutes into it, I think you have a good 5 or 10 good minutes of a conspiracy there
Before Jews get involved.
Jews are invoked.
Yeah.
Alex Jones will go. I mean, to the point where if someone else mentions Jews, he'll be like, "Wow,
Really?
I don't fuck with that."
Really?
Yeah, no, he won't touch
So
Jews.
here's the
I
question.
don't know why. Maybe
Do you
Jews
think-
bought him. Maybe Zionists bought him.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Do you think that a lot of these conspiracy theories are just because people are like our brains work as like machines that try to find narratives and like and purpose in these things, and like a lot of times
Well, yes, Ephraim, I do agree with that.
You think so?
No. You said it so, but I think it's a very good point.
like I'm thinking about like the reason actually what made me think about this more than like very clearly recently is Bob Dylan wrote
the
a
only
song.
flat surface I can put this beer.
Is by the fire.
For your millions of listeners,
Dude,
they should know that where we're sitting is entirely crooked.
except
The
for
only place to
the
put
slab of
anything
of rock.
is right next
On the
to
fire.
the fire.
Dude, Bob Dylan has this incredible song called "I Shall Be Free," and it is a bunch of gibberish, absolute nonsense.
Bob Dylan.
Yeah, Bob
wrote-
Dylan. I'll send you the song.
He wrote a
Oh, I
shitty
met
song.
a woman
You
late
try-
last month. I was
Trying to say he wrote a shitty song, bro.
He wrote a lot of shitty songs. He wrote a lot of shitty songs. He was not. He was not an 100% batter. He hit baseball
wasn't the
numbers.
Beatles.
Dude. He hit baseball numbers. Okay, if he hit 200%, I was like,
He was the Monty Python of songwriting.
But he wrote one song because after Blowing in the Wind and after like all those albums and like he was like everyone was looking at him like this kind of prophet or hero. He wrote a song "I Shall Be Free," and it's just a bunch of gibberish. And like the point of the song was like, I'm just a dude that's just writing and observing. Don't give me any more credit than I deserve.
Yeah,
Don't
just relax.
find anything more in
not
me than
God.
what it is. I'm just Bob Dylan. I'm just a dude reading the newspaper, and I just put words to what I think and feel. Like that's
cool.
it. And he doesn't want the credit for being any kind of prophet, any kind of hero.
Don't make him a visionary. Yeah.
I got me a woman late last night. I was 3/4 drunk. She looked half right. is the opening line? Is the opening
Words
line.
to live by.
Words to live by. And this whole and like, but like everyone takes everything that Bob Dylan does or did as like a sign, like he's saying this, and
Yeah.
this is where the culture's
They're
going,
getting
and this is
they're
the
getting
pulse of
the
society.
ear.
Yeah,
They're-
you're learning every nuance, everything he
Why do you
does.
think it is that we not only idealize, but we pedestal generation over generation? We pedestal different characters
I think that I'll tell you. I'll tell you what
like, honestly, what do
my
you think?
so my immediate response is, I think that musicians in particular and poets have a way of putting what we think into words before we realize that's what we're thinking, and so we associate them with truth telling.
And to your point from before about how music and the invocation, because like for people, there's a lot of evolutionary biology around music. Music came up around language,
Yeah,
and we used it. Mothers used it as a rhythmic way to communicate with kids,
sure.
because so, and then obviously language. So there's so much, like, music is deep. It's lizard brain shit.
Yeah.
So maybe musicians are like the
Oh, that's interesting. Sure.
George Washington plus lizard brain connection. Like,
Yeah.
not only did you like create the free world, and so I'm going to put you on a pedestal, but you created the free world. You said some great shit, and you like touched my heart in a way that
Right.
nobody can explain.
You revealed what it is they reveal truths about life that we don't realize that we knew
Yeah.
until we hear them say
Yeah,
it.
it's like on another
And
level.
then we look at them to confirm or to tell us other truths that we want
Yeah,
that
they're
we,
like, you got this.
right.
Now tell us about
Exactly.
this.
It's
And
like
then there's like, I'm just getting high. Like,
right, exactly. But think about like my step grandfather is a very successful real estate business person, right? Has done deals. He flips properties. He owns properties. He develops properties. He just likes a good deal, right? He's like, everyone calls me asking for marriage advice.
it's
He's
so
like,
funny.
what the fuck do I know about
Yeah,
marriage
what do I
advice?
know?
You know, he goes, what am I going to tell you? Because people call me and like,
That's a
what
very,
do you think about
very good
politics? He's like, I know a good deal. You want to know whether a good deal is a good deal? Let me examine it. I'll look
I
at
will
it. I'll
give
tell
you
you
the
what I think.
best, dude. My advice will be golden to you. But if
Yeah.
you ask me about my marriage,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, dude, exactly. You know, we associate people that are good with, we
we
think
want
competence is across the scale, across the board,
yeah.
and it's not. And like,
Well, it wasn't. Henry Ford is a great example of that. Henry
why?
Ford was because he was a brilliant business person. He was he understood manufacturing at a really intimate level
Right.
with the Model T and all that. All that
Yeah, sure.
he made
My
cars
dad has one.
affordable. He fucking crushed it. But if you like, not after the fact, not now, but if you like go back to when he was living, his opinions on things besides the anti-Semitic shit.
Yeah, I didn't even know that he was anti-Semitic. Okay,
You didn't know?
but I just figured everyone
Oh,
around then was right.
no, he was no. So no, so that's another conversation, because that's true. Because like I can't say FDR. Like, history has everyone. Shakespeare. Everyone was an anti-Semite.
Was Shakespeare?
I think so. Wait, I
Well,
dropped
that's
deep, but which
that's
one was?
Merchant of Venice.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, exactly.
Shylock the Jew,
Yeah,
but that
yeah,
sounds more
yeah,
like a
yeah.
stereotype than actual
No,
like
no,
slave
but
anti-Semitism.
that's the point. So everyone had skepticism of Jews. I can't blame people of that. But Henry Ford at his time with the education level, I mean Hitler had a picture of Henry
Really, Henry
Ford.
Ford? Really?
Yeah, yeah. It was
What?
he owned no the Dearborn Independent was a paper Henry Ford
Dearborn,
purchased.
Michigan,
Michigan.
which is
That's
now
what I
the
said.
biggest Muslim, but the biggest Muslim, I think.
No, I think in Dearborn Independent. I think, because I
Where's
have a
Independent?
copy. I bought a first edition of. So he bought a newspaper. I think.
But Dearborn is like, as in like the place in Michigan. Like,
I don't know. It's a good question.
you should look that up.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah.
But he bought this paper and then paid someone, one of the guys that worked there, to just, the whole paper was just anti-Semitism from
Get
there on
out.
out.
Really?
And then he put out then he spent money he collected all those articles. He's like, this shit gotta go everywhere. He's like, it's not
Really?
enough that it's just in my he created the
Like an archive?
International Jew, 4 editions to the archive, so you can collect all four, like Pokemon, bro.
I love
And
Pokemon, dude.
and
I
he
love Pokemon
sold
growing
this
up.
shit. He fucking crushed it in the anti-Semitic business. He
Everyone
was,
could, dude.
dude. Everyone could, but he cooked at another level, and you got to respect him for it.
You know,
Like,
yeah.
Hitler knew his name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so, but my point is, brilliant person. Assuming, and it wasn't only in anti-Semitism. He was erratic in a lot of opinions.
Henry Ford.
So Henry Ford, um, and so I guess my point
How'd
is,
you know this?
What do you mean?
Where'd you hear about this? Or did you read about it?
Over, I don't know. I mean, just in general. Oh, what is it? I read, I drink, and I know things.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
No, what I learned about, I don't. I think it's not where I learned about it. I think I knew about it growing up, just from I probably read it somewhere. But I was really excited when not a first edition, a original,
Okay.
the International Jew,
Yeah.
the first edition of the things that he put out. He ended up having to stop, and he had to publicly apologize because a Jew sued him. Ironically,
There you go.
a Jew sued him like, bro,
But
you're saying some wild shit.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But so I have one of the. I mean, the book is coming apart. It's very.
That's really cool.
But
Can you get it reconstructed, or does that lose its value? Can
no,
you
I'm
get it
just
like?
gonna leave it. Only the first page. The first page is like almost off, but it wasn't like expensive. It was just
It's
like
really
it was
cool.
cool to have. But
It's fun.
it's fun. I don't know that a history. I like history. But like you said, your grandfather, and I think Ben Shapiro is another example because Ben Shapiro is brilliant in so many ways. And then people like ask him marriage advice, and he's right structurally. He's like, we need community, we
Yeah.
need this, that. But I, I think you can. I think individualism is also forgotten in his narrative, and then like people ask him like specifically, like, what was your situation? He's like, I was a shidduch date, and I was like, it's like for a secular person, I don't think that's good advice. You know?
Really, I think it is.
Yeah.
I'm actually a big. The more I think about it, and I've thought about it for quite a bit, I'm a big advocate of the shidduch system. Shidduch system is matchmaking.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You're a big advocate of matchmaking, not the shidduch system.
Well, what I'm a big advocate of is, and actually read a Jewish essay about this by Shimshon Nafal Hirsch in his collective essays.
Oh shit! It's collective essays,
dude, awesome stuff.
Bro, I didn't realize you were on that. Boy, you're reading collective essays.
Dude, it's so good, dude, so good.
He's like, Ephraim is like in the library poring over.
Seriously, dude, taking notes.
He's
so
I'm just teasing.
Because he doesn't. Because there's some things that are really outdated. There's some things that are really still true to our time. And one of the things he talks about, he's like, let's say you're a 20-year-old and you start dating a 20-year-old girl, right? And you're like, you have a lot of, and I'm not blaming you. He's not saying this like in an accusatory kind of way. He goes, naturally speaking, there's a lot of other factors that pull people towards one another. Enthusiasm for similar hobbies, physical attraction, emotional connection. But like there's certain things that are foundational to a relationship that have to be on the same page that get muddled in the more superficial stuff.
Yes.
You might get more invested in a girl. Exactly.
You don't think about the fact that this person
doesn't want kids, and you want a big family.
Into a certain way of life and
correct.
antithetical.
Right, exactly. It's like, imagine how many marriages and relationships would last longer if before they started going out, they're on the same page about whether they wanted a family, whether they were religious or not, whether they believed in God or not, whether they wanted their kids to go to private school or public school. And imagine like having those ideals already fleshed out, and then when you start dating and you get that chemical, physical, emotional connection, that a lot of the premises that are important to you are already checked off the box. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that like I
listen, when I met my
But that's what a lot of the dating apps are like, right? These preset questions that you pick are almost like bits and pieces about who you are in advance. That someone
I know some of your fundamental
yeah, exactly. But it's kind of silly if your fundamental principle is don't let me leave my house without my puppy. Like
no, that shouldn't be it.
Maybe, but
I think America has a problem because and it's a good problem to have, but it's a problem. Like what you're saying is very important. That's the problem. That's like one of the problems I have is when I talk to certain people. Like if I talk to a secular person, and I'm like, I talk about obviously what's interesting, right? What's an interesting conversation to have.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so I might not like want to agree with them. I'll just talk about like what's antithetical to what they're. So if I talk about community, like if I'm talking to a secular person who like community isn't a priority for them, I'll be like, community is like the foundation of the human condition.
Yeah.
Like it's tribal. It's like you have to, like you were talking about
You
before,
need it, yeah.
But it's almost like music. Like how are you gonna discount that or how are you gonna hand wave that away? Holy shit! You're gonna create and then you're gonna expound that and extrapolate it to all of America. You're gonna be fucked in a couple of generations.
Yeah.
And then but then if I'm talking to like a really really religious like Jew, I'll be like, yeah, community is important.
But you got to be in the world.
But like, not only just the world, but like how are you going to how much individuality are you willing to sacrifice
Yes.
in the name of being similar? And you have to be similar.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, you have
But to
you
what
are
extent?
naive, but to what? Yeah.
Yeah.
And how? And if you sacrifice 10% of the community for the amount of individuality you can add to your life with just 10%, and then
Yeah.
I know what their response would be, but like,
I've talked to people very
but
close to me.
and then you have to like balance this out over generations.
Yeah.
And so America has like this issue where like because I to what you were saying about shidduch system, I think it's really important what you just said, but also one could argue it's important to have a more laissez-faire experience with the world
Sure.
before that. But
can't
then
you?
someone might say that might lead you away from.
But laissez-faire could be, for example, right? Let's say my values are, as an Orthodox Jew, Shabbat and kosher and having a big family. Say that's like those are things that I find
Yeah.
important. I don't want to marry a girl.
Shabbos, kashrus, big family.
Yeah, and let's say
that's orthodoxy.
hypothetically, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say these are three general things that are on my checklist for what I want in my relationship in my life over the course of my life. And I date someone, and a lot of people keep Shabbos, a lot of people keep kosher, and a lot of people want a big family.
Yeah.
Right? So there's still plenty of space for that individuality to exist where I can say, are you a musical kind of person? Are you a technical person? Are you a doctor? Are you spontaneous? Are you planned? Are you not? Are you black and white? Are you gray? Like what are you? Because like these are just a couple of foundational things.
That's true. The three things you mentioned are probably the most minimum that you can.
And I chose specifically
that you can say.
Yes,
you can
correct.
say that's the category of orthodoxy, right? Scrap down. It's kashrus, Shabbos, even big. You might even not need to add big
Community,
family.
might even say community as opposed to family, right?
And community values.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of wiggle room inside that. That's true. But I think a lot people that are in those categories don't always have access.
Yes, that's true
to
too.
those people.
True.
And you almost have to be more of an not artistic, but maybe you need to have that more individual mindset. Even if you're in that community, you have to be more artistic to have access to those people.
True.
But then later you can almost like retcon it and say, well, it was just the system. It wasn't just the system.
Of course.
It was you kind of rizzing on the first date. And, like, hey, do we have to go through a shidduch? Like, well, why don't we, give me your number?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I've found that, and that's, I mean, I went through, I dated for 7-8 years before I got married. I dated a lot of different girls, and I had a lot of different relationships that lasted different lengths of time. And I mean, by the time I've dated girls for as long as 2 years, and as short as one date. Right? My wife and I got from our first date to the day we were married was less than 7 months.
Less than 7 months.
Less than 7 months. Granted, we knew each other before.
By the way, how long did you know each other?
We knew each other for a couple of years, but
so you knew of each other, or you knew each other?
Well, my wife is my sister's best friend.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
And so she was always around the house, but at that point in my life, I was in the city. I was living in Seattle. I was in college. There were a lot of things that I wasn't around about, but like when I would go home, I would very frequently interact with my wife and her twin sister, who had a certain, I at the beginning I couldn't tell what the difference was between them. And
you told me it's such a wild.
Yeah, dude.
The twin, by the way, I get it. My brother-in-law.
But your brother,
my former brother-in-law would say what he had said back in the day, that because I was in Israel when he met my wife, my sister at the time, and my wife and I. That's what I was. My wife and I would joke about how he couldn't tell the difference between my brother and I.
Really?
Till like a day before the wedding, he couldn't tell.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys don't look very similar like that, though. You guys have similar mannerisms more than you looked at, like, unless you looked at, like, more. How long ago was this?
No, you're right.
No, my wife, my wife and her sister are legitimately identical in the sense that, like
everything.
Her husband and me both equally.
If you look at pictures of me from 15 years ago, we look very similar.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. Like if I shave,
There have been times my brother-in-law and I have looked at each other. My wife's twin sister's husband and I have been sitting together on the couch, and one of them will walk in the room and they'll look at each other and be like,
yo, it's so funny.
"It's her." We'll like point at the person like whose like wife it is.
It's very hard for people if you've never met a set of identical twins. So I am an identical twin, but I've never experienced it. I was at an ice rink when I was like 15, and I'd been going there a while, and so I see this kid I know, and I'm like, "Yo, what's up, bro?" And he's like, "Who the fuck are you?" No, he didn't say that, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah. He looked confused.
It's funny. He gave me the look that I grew up giving other people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
You think I'm my brother?
And I remember thinking, like, holy shit, like that's not him. And I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
That's so
It's
funny.
such a trip.
It's
But
a trip,
growing
right?
up, of course I knew that. I mean, if you know someone enough, like
Yeah.
today, if you saw your wife and her sister next to each other, like, well, you know, you're looking at me.
I do. There are things that are different.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Let me say something. If it
so
was a
funny.
dark room, I don't want to say this. I'm gonna get fucked, man. I'm gonna, not in a good way. Yeah, dude. God bless, man. God bless, man.
No, but their relationship is probably amazing. Because so,
Who's? Who's?
no, your wife and your sister. What do you mean?
Oh yeah, my wife and her sister are very close.
Yeah. Are they? I don't know.
Yeah, they're
No,
very close.
what I mean is, it's like as a identical twin.
Someone was like,
I'm very close
someone
to my
asked,
brother.
one of my
Very,
friends
very
asked me,
close.
one of my friends asked me, he goes, how'd you decide to date her? I'm like, just because they look alike doesn't mean they're the same person. Like, how did I decide to
different
date her?
people,
They're different
yeah.
human beings.
How'd you decide? How'd you pick? Yeah.
Yeah, dude,
Bro.
it's totally different. By the way, yeah. Anyway, we did over 2 hours,
All right.
dude.
Oh,
Let's call it here.
How
That was a lot of
long
fun.
is it? Yeah,
Let's do it
All right.
again. Thank you so much for doing this, dude. This is so much fun. I'm so
course.
happy you're
Good
doing
stuff.
this. And
Yep.
we'll catch you again.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.